Quinto is our regional manager. He oversees the Folly Beach and very closely on parking. All right, so we're going to click it. Make sure this works. Can you advance it one slide, maybe, and then I can keep it going, keep everything on schedule?
There you go.
All right. So we are different than the other three firms you will hear about today. We have a very specific mission. We are not interested in being big. We are not interested in managing every type of parking. We're not interested in growing quick and selling like some of other ventures are out there. Brian Kern and myself, Brian's there on the left. Brian and I spent 30 years building the largest municipal parking company in the country, and we had a great time doing it. Unfortunately, our owner passed away and the business had to sell, and at that time we both stepped away and retired. And we had so many calls from our friends in the industry that were calling us, say, hey, we loved how you guys did business. You should open up your own shop. You should open up your own shop. We're not happy with what's out there today. So Brian and I agreed to come back and form a company that was going to remain small. And we truly offer a boutique level of service. Could you, this isn't working. If you could advance. Oh, went too far. I'm sorry. All right. So our goal, we're only going to have 25 clients. So it's kind of a club. And the first 25 that get in, we're going to love working with. But we chose to keep it at 25 because we want to stay in close contact with our customers. We want to ensure the quality. We want to have the level of consultation that we think our clients deserve and the focus that they need to deserve. As part of that, of our 25, we're going to have 5 regional managers. One regional manager will oversee 5 accounts, which allows them to give you a lot of very detailed, close attention and make sure that everything is running well. Quinto has no marketing responsibilities other than coming with today to introduce himself. The other value that we offer is there's no red tape. You can call us, the owners. And if you ask any of our clients out there, and please call our clients and ask how we perform for them. They'll get us on the phone. They'll get quick answers. No red tape with us. And then the technology side, most of my career I've deployed technology from the largest enforcement programs in the world. I work with New York City, the MBTA in Boston, where they issue 5,000 parking tickets a day. I know what works, I know what doesn't work, but I've also done a lot of beach parking. In fact, in 1999, I was awarded the contract with my former company to run your parking program here. It looked a lot different back then. I helped privatize Charleston when that happened in 1998. I've been involved with Folly Beach for many, many years, so I'm very familiar with this area, the culture and such, so I think that adds some value to the program. That's it. All right, and this message that I'm sharing with you today is resonating very well. We have added a great portfolio of municipal clients. We now have 61,000 parking spaces. We manage $55 million of their revenue. So we have the size and bandwidth to do everything. We also have some of the most recognized parking programs in the country. The City of Virginia Beach and Lex Park are recognized in the top 3% of all municipal parking programs out there. So, I appreciate your assistance. But don't ask me, ask our clients, and that's the most important thing to take away. Please talk to our folks and validate what I'm telling you today. These are references from some of our clients. I pulled a few snippets out. The one I'm going to read to you is in the red box there. We have developed a unique relationship with PCI. They are extremely professional, timely, responsive, and detail-oriented. I simply cannot say enough good things about their management team and staff. Matt Truler, their general manager, plays an active leadership role in our daily operations. Additionally, senior leadership, Quinto, is consistently involved to ensure world-class product and experience. And that's from Mike down in town, the town of Hilton Head Island. Beach parking experience is very important. It's very important to you that we understand what happens here, and we do. We run the Folly Beach parking program just down the bay here. We also privatize the town of Hilton Head program, which is a work in progress. We've been working with them very closely, as you just saw from the reference from Mike. And we also have the other beach programs, the City of Virginia Beach, which is massive, about 19,000 spaces. And then the City of Satellite Beach, which we just launched. And when it comes to being understanding, when it comes to parking enforcement, you have to give them a call because they went right to booting. No tickets, just boot on first offense. And we've been managing that process. And we've been very generous with people learning the system, having to pay for the first time, getting parking permits. We're up to 10,000 parking permits for little old Satellite Beach that we manage down there. So we know what needs to happen to make things work well. All right. And one thing I wanted to point out, we're local. We have an office in Folly Beach, and that's super helpful not only to your program, but to our program. We have 12 employees over there. We have a manager and an assistant manager. And actually, our assistant manager, if we're awarded here, Melissa, will come over and be your manager of this parking program. She knows what it takes every day. She's out there writing tickets, working on those kiosks and things like that. And the same technology that we've deployed there that works is the same technology that we're recommending here. The other value I want to point out, while other companies may have some people local, they're not doing what needs to happen here. They're in a different environment. They're in a commercial garage. They're not dealing with parking enforcement. We actually have trained staff that'll be doing the exact same thing in Folly Beach that you'll be doing here, which gives us a lot of ability to flex people, schedule people, cover gaps, vacations, and sick times like that to ensure that we're doing a quality job. All right. So we want to build something. With all of our clients, we think it's important to create a brand. And we put together the Park IOP, which obviously you use the IOP quite regularly. Quinto, if you would hold up that shirt. We've already got an idea of what we want to do out there, but the most important thing, if you can show the back of that, is our approach to customer service. We want our people to be ambassadors of you. We want them to be extensions of the city staff. When you privatize this, there's going to be a change. You're going to have non-city staff people that are out there engaging with the public, writing parking tickets. They need to be quality people. They need to have the right mindset. And again, everyone can say they have great customer service. Can you back it up? Call Aaron over at Folly Beach. Ask him how many complaints they've had the entire season over there. And we've issuing a lot more parking tickets than you do here. We'll talk about that in a second. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And we're going to tell you why our tickets, we do a good job. All right. Every opportunity we approach the same way. We look for 5 things we ask ourselves. How do we add value to our clients? How can we improve the experience of your residents and your visitors? How can we best use technology? It's evolving every day. Your kiosk provider, Flowbird, just got acquired. There's been 11 major acquisitions in the last 12 months in the parking technology space. It's crazy. You need someone that can keep up on that, keep ahead of it, and know what it means to you. How can we deliver data, accountability, and transparency? We love what you guys already do. I've watched a number of your council meetings, how you present your packets. It's data-driven, and that's the way the world's going. We're on that cusp. We know how to deliver data that's useful for y'all when you make policies, plan for future. We're going to give you that data. We're going to be right along with you as things change, because there always are. And then ultimately, how do we best assure that we're providing a quality service? Not day 1, not month 1, but year 3, year 4, year 5. So obviously adding value is what you're looking for. And the key components that are here, you don't have a big staff. So dealing with parking tickets, dealing with permits, dealing with all those questions, it's a big job and it can be overwhelming. You need your law enforcement folks to be out there focusing on public safety, not issuing parking tickets, not asking questions about how do I pay in meters. That's where we come in. And we only want to work with programs that ask us to do more than just staff. If you simply want 4 bodies for 40 hours a week, we're passing. It doesn't interest Brian and I. We only want 25 clients. We want them to be fun. We want to be engaged. We want to use our brains. We came out of retirement to do this. And coming to the beach is not a bad side benefit of this as well. We want to be active consultants, use our experiences and resources to make sure you guys are having the best parking program that you can. So one of the ways we do that is giving you comparative, what have other cities doing? What have they tried? How did it go? Is there a better way to roll out things? And ultimately, we want to have a business plan. We want to be a partner with you. Let's execute this plan. Let's not have a 5-year contract. Let's have a 5-year plan. Let's set goals. What is success? And then we're going to measure it along the way, giving you the data. So you're going to know, are these guys doing a good job or not? And if we're failing in one area, we're going to know about it so we can course correct. If you guys want to look at numbers, budgets, it's all going to be there so you have a good data set to work from. So one of the challenges, and I've been here many days, and again, I love coming here, but one of the things I see over and over again as I walked around and engaged with people, I talked to some of the attendants that work the private lots. I even talked to some of the folks that do the enforcement this past season for y'all. I just said, hey, how's it going? You know, I'm in the parking business, just curious, and, you know, are there any frustrations here? What's going well, right? And I'll tell you what, the number one issue is the customers were frustrated. So many of the kiosks were down. The text to pay, well, I love it. It's hard. It's hard when you got little kids. You got the sun glaring in your phone. You're trying to text the number. You're trying to work this whole thing. There's a better way to do it, and I think what we're providing will improve the customer experience greatly. And you can just keep filling the slide up. So these are the things that we want to get to. We want to have an easier payment process. We'll actually let you demo a little scan to pay that we use over in Folly Beach. The old restaurant QR code, which we've all become accustomed to. We want to make finding a parking space easier. We've got technology that's going to let you know how many cars are in your lots at any given time. So we can message that through social media and some other ways. Here's a big differentiator of us as well. We're going to provide a 24/7 call center to your customers. Right now, if someone's out there on the street and they can't pay or they got a ticket or they don't know what's going on out there, it can be very frustrating. So offering them the ability to dial a phone number and ask someone, how do I use this machine? Or I didn't get a receipt, is that going to be a problem? I got a parking ticket, I don't know why. Being able to engage with someone right away, as we all know, mitigates that frustration and improves the customer experience. In Folly Beach alone, we're getting 400 to 500 calls from people at the beach asking questions, asking for help. And that's part of the reason Aaron will tell you there's just not any issues over there. Occasionally someone will get upset that they got a ticket for parking the wrong way on the street, but that's the South Carolina state law. So those are the things that you have to deal with. Enhanced communication, website. We build websites for all of our customers. We know how to build them where they're beneficial to everybody. Folly Beach, again, 2,000 unique website visits. That wasn't actually last month. It would have been in August was the last time I looked at those numbers. Things are slowing down a little bit now. But that tells you the value of having a good website that people can search out information. And then the minor thing, the self-releasing boot. Currently, you boot folks if they've got tickets that are outstanding. We would recommend a self-releasing device where they can go out, see the boot, get mad, and then make a payment, be on their way within 10 minutes. It's an easier way to go through a painful process. And I don't want to spend too much time here, but just give you an idea of the website development. All of these are active live sites that you can go to and just check out some of the things that we've done for other folks. Have all the ways to pay videos on how to pay, how to get permits and such like that is so valuable. All right, let's see, go ahead. So right-sizing the technology. Be careful. Some companies are going to push technology because it benefits them. They make money off of you adopting certain technology. I'll leave it at that. What we do is we look at the environment and you say, what's going to work best here? Pay by plate. No more putting receipts on the dash. That's a pain. The scan to pay. Scan the QR code and be on your way. Digital permitting. I think one of the big benefits that we can offer you is we know how to manage the residential permitting program. We can make it virtual where almost everything can be done online. And instead of using stickers and little booklets of validations and such, we can do all of that through a digital permitting platform. We'll talk a lot about LPR enforcement and different ways to go about that. And then the occupancy, using simple video cameras for computer vision. Other things, and we talked a little bit about this at the last presentation, we have technology to measure length of stay, time limits. So for example, if you wanted to have time limits on ocean, you could do that. You could put sensors in the ground and it would automatically notify an enforcement officer if they were beyond 2 hours or 3 hours, if you were trying to encourage turnovers of those spaces. It's also going to grab you a lot of data that's very helpful. And when it comes to data, whatever we choose, whatever we deploy, it has to work together. This image on the right is a good demonstration of it. Everything has to tie together to be efficient. All of the data needs to be integrated and easily reported to you so you can make use of that data. Go ahead. So with this, Quinto will, if anyone would like to try the scan to pay, you can just, if anyone has their cell phone, if you just do a quick, it's so how easy it is. But this is a This is a non-app solution. And part of the challenge with asking people to use an app to pay for their parking, if they're only here one time, you don't want to download another app on your phone. You don't want to go through that process of entering all of that information in there if you're never going to use it again. Or like I said, you got the 5 little kids and the ice cream cones are melting and you're trying to get out to the beach. It's just a hassle. The non-app solution allows you, is it working? Oh, okay, all right. It's just a much better customer experience for everyone. And it has all the same features, so when your time's about to expire, it will send you a reminder so you can add more time to your session. And everything is real time. So we'll be able to see all the payments by plate in the back office. And at the end, another cool thing is that they can do a survey at the end. And it's very helpful to hear, if they scored us low, we'd love to hear why. Why didn't you enjoy using the app? You know, is it just you hate to pay for parking? Which a lot of people, of course, say that. Or is it didn't work very well, or the sign was confusing? That's just great information to course correct and try and do things better. The other feature that this system offers is, if you wanted to, you could allow your merchants to validate their customers' parking. Simply walk into the hostess stand at a restaurant, scan a QR code, enter your license plate, and that business could pick up the tab. Or if you chose to say, hey, businesses, you get a lower rate, or you get so many free validations to promote your community, you can do that. And it's all managed in real time, all interfaced with the enforcement system. Very easy, a lot of value, a lot of flexibility there. Same thing could be used for folks. A lot of folks come here for the week, right? Especially in the season. Why make them come and pay 15 times as they come and go to the beach? Let's let them buy 1 week-long permit. And then they can come and go, less wear and tear, less friction points, better customer experience. And hey, don't tell anyone, but usually when we buy gift cards, we don't use them. We don't use the whole value. So you'll actually end up making more money on that, because people will pay for a week but only go to the beach 3 times or 4 times. So it kind of has a win-win convenience and financial side as well. All right. So on the digital permitting, as I mentioned before, we'd love to see your program go virtual. And what that means is it would all be managed online. Same thing we do for Hilton Head. Same thing we do for Folly Beach, Satellite Beach, Virginia Beach, Chattanooga, Lexington. Everything is done online. So you go online and you apply for a permit. Whatever documentation is required, you can upload it. The approval process is all managed through a software system, and it's very flexible. It allows you to set the rules according to, these are your rules down here that you all have passed, according to your program. To help the adoption of that, on the website, we create little tutorial videos that walk people through how the application process works and how, what to expect and how to update their plates, which is a big thing. Right now, if I have a sticker in my car and my car's in the shop and I got a rental car, how do I get my rental car in the system so I don't get a ticket? Or I sold my car. It's administrative work that we can get rid of and just allow people to have their own online account where they can go in and update their own vehicle information. So it's a convenience, really. The other thing that we can take care of is the visitors. So right now, instead of having the booklet, you can give them the power to go in and authorize so many visitors during a period of time, or for the season, whatever you want. It can all be done from their house, 2 a.m. if they want to. They don't have to come to the office and deal with all of that. And the other cool thing, which I know Desiree will love, is we'll actually get data on the permit usage. When we use the license plate and when we're out there enforcing scanning, we're also gathering a bunch of data. We can actually see how many permits are being used, how often, where in the program. Awesome data to make decisions. Hilton Head has 7,000 residential permits. They have 127 permitted spaces. So it's very interesting for them to see how often a resident actually uses the spaces. So when they charge $15 a year for a permit, it gives them a lot of detail to go back to the customer. So we think this would be a huge upgrade for y'all. This is a section I want to spend a little more time on. So I know that other companies have different ways of doing enforcement. This video here you can watch. This is actually down in Hilton Head. This is Matt Trula, our manager, that's actually enforcing a lot as we speak. And so he has his iPhone out with the enforcement app on it, and he simply walks down the lot. You see how quick he can go, and it's automatically telling him if it's a permitted vehicle or not. And if it's not a permitted vehicle, then from that same device, he can actually issue a parking citation warning, whatever's appropriate for your program. I wanted to show you that because I wanted to show you how much better it is than what currently happens out there. And I've watched it. It takes them about 5 minutes to write one parking ticket, and they have to check multiple systems in order to be able to do that. This phone with this software, Park Loyalty, everything is integrated in real time. So you can see how fast you can enforce one of your lots. Now, some people are saying, well, we should just put up stationary cameras. And in some environments, stationary cameras that are checking every car is a good idea. For you, I do not believe it is. And here's why. There's a number coming to. You can go ahead. You can pause that. That's fine. You can leave it there. With stationary LP, really miss about 7% of the cars. Best technology in the world. You're going to have certain cars that have temporary license plates. You're going to have cars that have obstructions. You're going to have some plates that just aren't going to get read for whatever reason. You got out-of-state plates. Sometimes they just don't read. Again, the best read rates in the world are about 98%. That's in an ideal environment. At the beach, in the sun, it is not the ideal environment. So you're going to miss a certain percentage. The other thing about stationary LPR enforcement is and ask the companies, they're only collecting about 40% of the tickets that they mail to people. Y'all are collecting 80, 85% right now. So that's a huge delta to make up for some efficiencies of not having extra labor. In Folly Beach, we enforce the entire program with 1 or 2 people. And if you're familiar with Folly Beach, the distance between the lots is significant, so there's a lot of drive time there. And we, on behalf of the city, we collect twice as much citation revenue as your program does, and our citations are actually half the value. So it's really shows you the ability of having this handheld LPR solution. It's 400% more efficient, just using raw numbers in that regard. So we think this is the way to go. The other thing I would point out is tons of data. So this is actual heat map of Folly Beach showing you where the concentration of citations were at any given time. You can insert date ranges. You can see where your violators are, where the officers have been. The one in the middle there shows a timestamp of every violation that was issued. And so great value. And the last thing, you can hurricane reentry. So this same technology, these same handhelds, can manage your hurricane reentry program. The officers would simply just scan the plate, you saw how fast it was, and validate that they were a resident. This is a familiar picture for y'all, right? The connector coming into town. Yeah, I've been in that line many times. So what we would love to do is come in here and get real-time occupancy of your 2 parking lots, simply putting cameras. These cameras are no more than a fancy security camera, and they use bunch of all these algorithms, and they can tell me how many cars came in and out at any given time, which allows me to give you occupancy. That information can be pushed to the public to the website or social media or to VMS signage. I know currently on the connector there's usually a large, one of those orange construction signs out there that helps message. This can be tied into a multiple of signs, hopefully to get people from circulating and blocking the flow of traffic and getting frustrated when they get here, only to find out after they drove through your entire lot that there is no parking available. So we're trying to improve the better customer service experience. It's a great revenue and audit tool. How many cars actually parked versus how many dollars did we put in the bank? So we love that accountability. Talked about some of the ability to measure time, how long a car was parked in a space. These little ground sensors, about 150 bucks a piece, give or take. Put them in every stall, and you can tell how long a car was parked. You can get good data for managing that going forward. If you ever decide to limit how long someone can park, you'd have the tools to do that. Data and transparency, you can just go ahead. I know I'm running long on time here, but so everything we do is customized. We sit down with you first thing upon award and say, all right, what is the reporting, what's going to best fit your needs, and what is success? What are the measurements we're going to use to say this program is operating well? And so all of that needs to be agreed upon. Reporting, everything is visible. You'll have access to live dashboards that are going to show you what's going on at any given time. How many people paid, how many tickets were written, any boots, occupancy, all of that information. All right, now we're going to get into the dicey subject. So citations, sensitive issue, especially when you're privatizing. Been here, I've privatized many communities, and this is always an issue. I'm going to warn you, when you privatize this, whoever you choose, there's going to be a lot more parking citations written. Okay, the goal is not to write a bunch of citations. The goal is compliance. You just want people to follow the rules. So how do we best do that? Now, when it comes to a parking ticket, a violation is a violation. You have to be fair. You can't walk by one car that's in violation and not give them a ticket and then give the next one. So if the technology, which I showed you, can 100% guarantee that that car was parked there and it didn't pay or whatever, it parked over the line, we take pictures of every violation, we can give you the comfort that you need that whatever tickets are written are good tickets. And over time, when you do a good job of that, you'll see the citations go down and the payments go up. That's compliance. That's what we're going for. Now, we're going to get into the numbers here before I wrap up. We gave you all two options on the financial side. And under both of these options, we pay for all of our expenses, all of the technology. It's all coming out of our share of the revenue. But the top one was the original proposal where we split the revenue 76-24. We get to keep 24% of your revenue. That would include citation revenue, and we pay for all the expenses out of that. The cool thing for Desiree and her staff, if you do a cost management deal, she's going to get this stack of reports and invoices and payroll and all this stuff she's got to validate and audit. And yes, it can be done. A lot of my clients choose to go that route. I believe for your environment, this is the best approach. Now, if you do want to pull citation revenues out of the revenue share agreement, we're more than happy to do that. But we would just need to shift the percentage. Instead of a 76, we would go to 66% of the revenue. With us, there's no markups or games on any of the technology. We're making our money out of our share of the revenue. So now I wanted to put that because we've seen the other presentations, they all explain what their financial offers were to you. I said, well, what does that actually mean? If you take everyone's offer based on your revenue, these are your revenue numbers here, what does that mean for your community? And you can see in the gray box up there, either one of our proposals is going to have the best financial return to your community, to your city, and by quite a significant amount, over $100,000 to the next closest company. So, and like I said before, we're buying all the technology, which over the course of the contract, over 5 years, will be $312,000 that's coming out of our share of the revenue. Pivot, one of the other proposers, offered to buy an LPR system for $60,000. That was a great idea. The other companies, I didn't see anything that they offered. So if you look at the straight numbers, I think we've given you the best proposal. One more. And then say, hey, what happens when revenues go up? What does it look like then, right? Because you got to look ahead. If you guys change rates, you don't want that deal to flip. Well, same scenario. We're number one and number two. If you calculate everyone's offer to you based on the financial outcome that's been proposed. So, and I would assume at this point, since everyone's got to see everyone else's offers, these are hard offers. We can't change these, which we're totally fine with, obviously, because I think our math works out in your best interest. So, the other thing I wanted to share with you is just, hey, let's look at everybody. Let's look at the scale. What does everyone offer? Years of experience, number of municipal clients. Do they have beach parking clients? Do they have an office in South Carolina? Do they have a local office? Folly Beach is about as local as you can get. Local employee count, we've got 12. We got way more than anyone else. And does anyone else do the exact same thing they're offering to do here? We are. So I think we check all of the boxes. If I were in your seat, I would be looking at it to say, who's the best company to run our program? All right, I'll wrap it up here. So this is all we do. Like I said, we're focused on municipal, we're focused on close relationships. Please call our clients and ask them how we do. If you haven't had the chance yet, I think you'll love talking to them. I think we offer the best situation, the best opportunity to share resources and ensure that your programs be managed well. And if you saw through the numbers, we've offered the best financial opportunity out of this deal. So, and one thing we will commit to, we want to be active in our communities. It's something we do in all of our programs. We will donate $5,000 a year out of our side to the Connector Run. It's a charity that's near and dear to my heart, and one that we would love to support and show engagement with the community beyond our great staff that'll be out here serving your folks. So with that, I will let you all ask me questions.
Oh, wait. Scott?
Thank you for the presentation. I thought it was a good presentation. Can you also, one of the things on your financial review that I'd want to consider is the things that you're taking on that we currently have that may not be quantifiable, and would like to do that with all the suppliers. So you talked about a 24/7 customer service line. Looks like you're managing 400 or 500 calls per month,
Correct.
depending upon the volume. Can you give us a little flavor for how that, what kind of functions or things did you take off of Folly's plate? And I'll use Folly as the example that they were currently dealing with that may or may not show up in a financial statement. Is sort of the cost avoidance or things that we're going to be able to save on our side versus what we're paying on your side?
Sure. Now, just to be fair, Folly was already a privatized contract, so there was another vendor there that we took over for. And I'd asked you to ask them about the difference between the two companies. But one thing that we do there out of that program is we take care of all of the beach restrooms. We clean them, we open them, we lock them. And it's a big part of the customer experience out there, because a clean restroom, you know the drill, right? So that's one of the services that we do offer to them. We work very closely with the law enforcement during their events. They just had their 50th anniversary, and we were a part of planning for that, blocking off parking and being a part of that. And it was already there, but doing the ticketing and letting the law enforcement focus more on things like traffic direction, responding to an issue about public safety, I think adds a ton of value. And not to manage the staff. Ask Aaron and Lee over there. They get, they'll tell you the number, but 5 or 6 calls for the entire season of everything parking. We're very proud of that. So just minimizing how much time staff and council have to focus on parking, other than getting good financial returns, I think is a huge win.
Good.
Yeah, I think you said, I just wanted to make sure I've heard, you guys take care of everything from ticket to collection, start to finish,
Yes,
for both of those plans, right?
correct.
Okay. And then, I thought you said that, I just want to make sure, but then, how does the self-releasing boot work?
Sure. Are y'all familiar with the boot, like the traditional
Yeah.
boot that locks on the wheel?
Unfortunately.
So this one is a lighter weight, much lighter weight. The traditional ones are like 60 pounds. You can get a hernia trying to put those things on and off. These are like 18 pounds. You literally just clamp it on. There's an electronic lock. You push a button, it locks. When the customer comes out and they've been booted, they call and make a payment. They get a release code. That code allows them to unlock the boot, take it off. Like in Satellite Beach, we have self-return stations, so they can just drop it in that box.
That was the part I was wondering
Yeah.
about.
And
They don't
beyond
just
there-
leave it on the side of the road,
No, we hope not, we hope not. But on the collection.
throw it in someone else's car.
On the collection side, that's one of the things we do for Follow Beach, and I should have answered that to your question. We do all of the collections on the unpaid citations, and just, we've been averaging over $20,000 a month in the old stuff, the stuff that we inherited when we got there. Now, I know you guys have a good collection rate, but there's still a decent amount of money that's owed to you. We would love to work with you and get those funds in that are due to you. So,
Thanks.
Yeah, good question. I was wondering the same thing, Katie.
Get to take it home as a student.
One more, and then we need to keep moving.
Okay. Just to clarify, I think you said in other discussions that we had that a lot of the collections goes on during the off-season when your manager wouldn't be so busy. Is that how you arrange that?
Actually, the collection process is handled above our manager. So there's an outside firm we use called Unique. They specialize in library fines collections, if you can do that. But it's a soft approach. They specialize in small ticket volumes. So that's an ongoing process.
Okay,
As tickets get a certain age, they get a hold of them and they do their magic.
okay, so, and then the other thing with the boot, I know with some of the other companies that we interviewed, it was like a pad that you put on the windshield.
Yep.
That just sort of, is that what you're talking about, or is that the actual,
No,
Boot on the wheel.
that device is called the Barnacle.
They're doing that in Charleston, I think, aren't they?
We use it in some of our operations, but here's why it won't be the best device for you. It will not work on a golf cart. It will not work on any windshield that's got a chip or crack in it. So
Oh,
those folks
that's
get
most
off
of them.
scot-free. And so a lot of cities that use the Barnacle also have a secondary device to deal with those one-offs. Our recommendation
Interesting.
is just to go with the wheel boot. The other problem with the Barnacle is people can still drive. People can
Okay.
still drive with it on there. I know it seems silly, but we've seen it 100 times. They're driving down the street trying to, and who knows what that, you know, what.
Yeah,
I hate to think
okay.
about it,
The
yeah.
other thing, though, is you are obviously going to have the boots that are going to be lost or taken or something like that. What's the cost of the boot for the wheel as opposed to a barnacle? Are we going to have a lot of turnover and replacement costs for those?
No, your runaway rate's gonna be 2 or 3%. So, and you're not talking a lot of boots here, so I would be surprised if there was one incident an entire season for booting. There has to be a cost that's significant to motivate the person to bring it back. So $500 is what most cities would charge if they don't return the boot after payment's been made.
Okay, and we have the information to be able to to collect that from them?
Yes, ma'am. Everything is done with the license plates, so we know the vehicle owner, and all of their payments are tracked electronically. And what we do is typically you say, hey, you have 24 hours or 48 hours to return the boot after you've removed it. In an environment where you have self-returning boxes, we usually recommend like 12 hours. We want that boot back sooner than later. So we can charge, we have the ability to charge their credit card because they already used it to pay for their boot fee. So that's how we manage that process.
Okay, and one more, the customer call center. Is that, I don't know whether that's an expensive addition or not, and how that would work with I don't think we have, people just call City Hall now when they have questions. you
But
know.
that's in their whole
That's
structure.
theirs, yeah.
That's
all
their deal.
They're providing.
It's all out of our pocket.
Oh, okay.
Scott, one last one. Let's-
Yeah, well, I got that question on a request. Hopefully, we can get a copy of their presentation. Okay, and secondly, on the technology, it looks like all of the customer interfacing is kind of open, accepted platforms that are out there today. Your analytics that it looks like we're going to have access to, I assume you've got like a canned baseline of reports that we had. They look pretty impressive. Is that a homegrown proprietary system, or is that something you're?
Good question. Nothing we're offering is proprietary.
Okay, that's good.
Right, so if it needs to shift and lift, companies get bought and sold all the time, you don't
Yeah.
want to be. Yeah.
So it's all, okay, all open off the shelf. Okay,
Exactly.
good.
I got one last.
Make it fast.
I will. All right. In some ways, you have a huge amount of experience from people that have been in the profession for a long, long time, which is a very valuable asset. What I'm just concerned about is this your retirement job? Or is this something that is going to go on? What's the structure of your company in terms of what happens in transition 10 years from now or something like that, assuming that we like you and want you to stay?
I wish I had a crystal ball, but I'm only 55, Ryan's 57, so like I said, we enjoy doing this. So our plan is to do this. Brian's got a couple of sons that are gonna be joining the business, one already is.
Okay.
So this is something that's going to go on. We're not doing this to get out of it. If we were doing that, we would just stayed retired and gone fishing more.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Good information.
Thank you. And we have the deck
Oh, good.
here,
Perfect.
So if you wanted to refer back to anything, so.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good info. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Quinto.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, I'm good. Thank you.
Amy, you got the touch? Got the magic
It
touch?
works when you turn it on.
Oh, batteries and on. I got it.
Who knew?
Thank you, guys. Who knew? Desiree, our next one's up.
Yes, I told them to come in after.
That's a revenue sensitivity analysis. What he did is if the revenues go up, then our share goes up.
Can leave it as a
You just
display,
look at
yeah.
two different scenarios. That's the
Thank
right-
you.
that's
Y'all
the right
too.
way to look at it. You gotta look
Thank
at the
you
ups
all.
and the downs.
But is this,
I
this
think
is
they,
the,
what they assumed is a specific.
All right,
I'll take it.
coming in,
Transition.
Katie and Blair. I'll move them back.
Okay, yeah, I
To
gotta.
have a call.
Two
Want
seconds.
to take a little break? Okay. We're live, just
Yeah.
so that y'all know we're still recording. And all of these will be posted after the meeting along with all the presentations. They'll be posted along with the video.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Some of our members took a little break, so you have a couple minutes to settle.
How's everyone doing today?
Good. Thanks for
Hey.
joining us.
good to see you back.
Happy to be back. My name is Brendan, by the way.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Give us one more minute for at least one more to join us.
All right, our second presenter of, that we'll have this morning is the car park. And with the car park, we have Brendan Bowen and Steve Hernandez. Yep.
All right, so my name is Brendan Bowen. I'm the Regional Vice President for the car park based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. I have over 15 years parking and management experience. Also a veteran. I was in the military for about 12 years, served in Washington, D.C., also in North Carolina and abroad several times. Familiar with all different types of parking systems, from municipalities to hotel parking, to airport parking, to any kind of parking you could think of, and also mobility and different ways to move the programs forward.
Good morning, my name is Steve Hernandez. I've got 21 years in the municipal parking management experience. I've got a wealth of experience specifically along the Carolina coast. I'm a UNC Wilmington graduate. I've overseen properties in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, Curry Beach, North Carolina, Carolina Beach, North Carolina, Myrtle Beach. I actually took the Myrtle Beach parking program from a free parking program to a paid parking program back in 2004. So I've had an opportunity to spend a lot of time in the Carolinas. I've also most recently with the city of Beaufort, South Carolina. We converted that program over from a program that was kind of in disrepair, and we've turned it into a very good parking management program. And that's a great segue into our proposed manager for this operation. I think we're the only one that has identified a proposed manager that will lead this operation on a day-to-day basis. This candidate has over 17 years of municipal parking management experience, primarily dealing with coastal Carolina operations and barrier islands and so forth. This individual has an incredible amount of care about what she does and who she does it for. She specializes in customer service and has a great reputation of developing a great rapport with her clients as well.
So the car park is based in Boise, Idaho. However, our second headquarters is in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we have a pretty robust office out of Raleigh, North Carolina. We have operations throughout the North Carolinas, over 200 locations in the Carolinas. So we have our accounting, our controller based out of Carolinas. We have our head of human resources based out of the Carolinas. We have our events management team based out of Carolinas, and we also oversee several municipalities and universities throughout the Carolinas, to include University of North Carolina, NC State, Duke, Raleigh, Wake County, Town of Cary, and several other operations. Steve will tell you a little bit about the different municipalities that we do business with.
So one item that I wanted to call out here was Estes Park, because with a lot of these other operations that you'll see here, and Brendan's going to touch base on a couple of our larger municipal institutions, but with Estes Park, it's actually a seasonal operation. It's a seasonal program. It sits right there at the foothills of Rocky Mountain National Park, and it's a beautiful mountain town that draws about 65,000 people over the course of any given day during the season. That season usually runs from around Memorial Day all the way through October with the Elk Fest and so forth. But they're starting to see an incredible amount of demand going into their town, even during the winter season now, as more people look to retire to remote areas. So they've had just a tremendous amount of population boom as well as tourist interest as well. But we've learned a lot from that operation, again, taking that from a free parking program to a paid parking program. It's the first time that they ever outsourced their parking management, so it's very similar to you guys, where this is the first time you've ever considered outsourcing your parking management program. So we'll be able to draw a lot of that experience from that, as well as the other experience that we've highlighted throughout our company's history.
So I'll tell you a little bit more about Raleigh, North Carolina, and our operation that we have out there. So it's 8 different garages, 5 surface lots, roughly 8,000 parking spaces throughout the city. A key thing there, we've had this relationship for over 20 or 25 years, and it's not just handed down time after time. It's from the relationship that we've built, and also every year proposing new operational enhancements to improve the operation. Some of the successes that we've had in our time there are transitioning it from cashiered lanes over to paid parking lanes. So currently, we're upgrading the parking systems throughout the city and all of the garages from older equipment that's been there for a while that we've been trying to get out of there, that we're finally getting out of there. We're integrated our call center, state-of-the-art call center, and also we've transitioned them from cash payments to mobile payments, text to pay, and other ways to improve the operation. So one last thing that we did there is we have technology that's called Project Clean. And with Project Clean, what it does is step by step, it lets you know what happened throughout the facility when we identify when there's something that needs to be cleaned or fixed. We take pictures of it, We annotate how long it took to get cleaned, the people that are assigned to it, and this is streamlined to the level that leaders of all level of the organization, internal and external, can see when this is getting fixed, when this is being cleaned. So we implemented that in the city of Raleigh. And then over at Louisville, very large operations, 16,000 spaces throughout. So we do on-street, off-street, 16 garages. Lot of things happening out in Louisville. We also do their special events management. So some key things that we did there is when we took over, we did a big transition of over 70 different employees. And me and Steve actually, one by one, spoke to each and every single employee, identified what their goals were, identified how we could help them reach whatever those goals are, identified high-performing individuals, and identified ways to support them in meeting their goals and support them in getting better, so on and so forth. So we're very proud of that. And also the retention rate that we've had there, we've done a complete analysis of their citations. So we measured the citation rates throughout the country at several different municipalities. And we also looked at the rates and compared the rates that they are paying their employees versus what's being paid throughout the country. So we found that there's a hard time keeping employees in this time of wages going up, and it seems like it's harder to find people. So through that analysis, we identified ways to improve the wages and also improve other ways, cost of living, make it make sense for the employees. We also included like a shoe allowance for our employees that are enforcement officers that are walking all around town to make sure that they could get new shoes every 6 months or so, and other ways to make life a little bit easier to overall enhance the operation.
I think the other thing I'd like to call out is this is a very interesting municipality to talk about. I can tell you I've been dealing with them, and I shouldn't say dealing with them, but I've been working with them since 2004, and not one time has this city renewed their contract with their operator. Not one time. They've gone through one operator after another operator after another operator. That being said, they have hired me on 4 separate occasions because they continue to bring me back into the operation because they trust the relationship and they trust the quality of job that I'm going to do for them. So I think that says something about the type of client that they are. They do have certain demands, but they also are looking for people that understand what those demands are and how to meet those demands. And working with Brendan on this project, it's been absolutely rewarding experience for me because I've seen the way that he handles the operational stuff and the way that I work with our clients to solve some other issues. It's been a really, really good experience for everybody involved. So we get into the operating plan, and this is an area in the presentation that we gave about a month and a half ago where there was some Q&A. Certainly welcome any questions that come in during this process. A lot of this material is very similar to what some folks saw the first time, but we've also added some additional slides at the end to talk about the financial proposal because I feel like there's some important stuff that we should highlight in terms of how you requested the RFP and how we responded, and comparing that to how some other folks may have presented their information. So with the staffing plan, so we have a full dedicated project manager that is 100% dedicated to Isle of Palms. They're not spread between some other operation 15 miles down the road or in downtown Charleston or anything along those lines. They are 100% dedicated to Isle of Palms. This individual will be well compensated because I believe that your community deserves a well compensated representative of the operation. The office manager is there to provide customer service support that will facilitate any incoming payments or appeals or disputes or anything along those lines. Parking enforcement hours. We have 2 parking enforcement hours on staff from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day for the entire season. And then there's a part-time maintenance individual that will also provide some enforcement, supplemental enforcement as well. But I think it's important when you consider all the different financial models that have been thrown at you, and I know a couple of companies have put 1 or 2 different options in front of you to consider, what exactly is the level of service and what is the level of the staffing that you are going to receive for that payment. And it's really important that you drill down on what that looks like for you guys to make sure you're getting a good deal and a consistent deal. A couple of things. Your current T2 systems. it's working very well. You are collecting roughly 80 to 85% of the citations that are issued. That's a really good percentage. You should be proud of that. It's not broken, so why change it? Why fix it? We are prepared to continue with T2 systems. We have a good relationship with T2. We use T2 in Louisville, Kentucky, and in some other markets. It's a very good product. I don't see a need to change that. We can assume that contract, or you can continue to pay those services directly within your operating budget. Either one is fine. There's some things that we would like to do to enhance the level of service and the streamlining of the appeals process specifically that we feel can reduce the demands on your court system. I know the RP kind of references, hey, we're gonna, you may need to represent us at a municipal court hearing for a parking dismissal. We can get to that point, but we think that there's one or two layers of an appeals process that we can put in place that can reduce the demands that exist on your court system today. So that's something that we would work together on establishing. If we got an adjusted an ordinance or two, then we can make those recommendations on how to make that happen. With Flowbird, your current kiosks, for the most part, are working really well. There's an upgrade that we'd like to do to convert them to pay-by-plate. That costs about $3,700 per meter. We can absorb that as part of our fee, but we would look to make an adjustment as a part of our base management fee to compensate for that investment that would be made. But generally speaking, they're a very good product. You're having a lot of success with their Flowbird mobile app as well as the Text to Park app. We don't want to change that. We want to continue to support that. Now, in order to, and yes, did you have a question? I'm sorry. I thought your hand went up. You're good? Okay. In order to perhaps draw in additional digital payments, we have offered to provide pay by phone, which pay by phone is also used at the county park. So you've already got a large base of pay-by-phone users, and then you've also got Park Mobile, very large mobile payment provider. We're proposing to use as many options as possible to capture as wide of a net as possible for digital payments. We're not going to tie somebody into a single app or a single Text-to-Park app or a single scan-to-pay app. We want to provide as many options as possible. This is a tourist destination, so we want to support what likely options that tourists have from visiting other communities throughout the region. Then this next option is paved mobility. So with paved mobility, that is going to be fixed LPR in municipal lots A and B. And with that option, it will be the license plate recognition system will read the license plate coming in, and then it'll read it exiting. And through that process that the person is parked there, they will have reconciled that against the various payment options that we have proposed and we are offering, whether it's the Flowbird kiosk or whether it's any of the digital payments that we offer as well. That will be reconciled in addition to the residential permit database. That will also be reconciled against that to ensure that nobody is issued a violation. And on top of that, there's an additional level of security, or two different levels of security. Number one is the 20-minute grace period, and that grace period can be provided at 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever grace period we agree to set it at, that's the grace period that we will allow. So if somebody wants to run in, grab a newspaper, something along those lines, or grab a cup of coffee, it's a local resident or just somebody visiting, we can give them that 20 minutes where it doesn't cost them anything. If they extend beyond that and they don't have a valid permit or payment, then they will be issued a violation accordingly. In addition, at Paved Mobility, they reconcile every single violation before the violation is mailed to the customer to ensure that ABC 123 is as it says it is, ABC 123. It's not ABCD 123. So they ensure that every violation that is mailed is accurate and matches the license plate in the image itself. That's really critical. The other thing I want to highlight is we've proposed this as a software as a service. Why does software as a service matter? Because it is a fixed fee that will be billed as part of an operating expense. But Paved Mobility and the car park are not incentivized to just go out there and issue as many violations as possible. We're not going to profit any more by issuing any more violations. Paved Mobility is not going to profit any more by issuing any more violations. We are being billed as a software as a service model. That doesn't mean you're going to get less quality from us or you're going to get less quality of service from Paved. That's not the case at all, because we still have to be held to our standards, and so do they. But we feel like this is really important because we're not going to just go out there and penalize as many people as possible in your community that's going to give you a bad reputation as well as us a bad reputation. Any questions on that subject? No? Okay. Yes.
What is the success rate of that technology? How many errors does the camera sometimes?
We would expect there to be anywhere from a 95 to a 98% read rate, successful read rate. And then they have integrations with all of the DMVs to ensure that they're capturing the registered owner information, so they'll be able to decipher if they're from Pennsylvania, Ohio, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, wherever.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then with this, this is an option in our proposal. It's not part of our proposed budget, but what this is more and more communities are trying to get as much data as possible and to learn about what's actually occurring within their parking systems as they possibly can. And with that, we've partnered with a company called Next City. They utilize Microsoft Power BI, and what they're doing is they're aggregating all of the various data points into a single pane of glass to provide that dashboard view that our team will utilize to make informed business recommendations to the city, and then the city can also have access so that way you can pull information and make informed business decisions as well. We feel like this is really important because you're going to have an understanding of how many license plates are coming onto the town property from a parking perspective. You're going to have an idea of our ability to issue violations. Are they being issued successfully? Meaning we're not going out there and just issuing tickets to the wrong license plates or the wrong make and model. There's certain KPIs that we can pull from this information to ensure that we're doing a good job and we're being held accountable to our operating standards. There's all sorts of information that you'll be able to aggregate to say, hey, this one service, mobile payment service provider, doesn't have the demand that the other service providers have. Why is that? Is there a problem with their software? Do we need to make an adjustment? Is there a problem with the signage? All of that stuff. So we're able to utilize this information to make good, informed recommendations, and then ultimately the city can make the appropriate business decision. Yes, sir.
Quick question. Did you say that is or is not included in your current proposal?
It is a proposed option. Since it wasn't part of the RFP process or in the specifications, we built it as an option.
But this would be kind of the basic analytics package for
Yes, sir.
managing the data.
Yes, sir.
Other quick thing, is this proprietary or is this open
This
off
is
the
not
shelf?
proprietary.
Okay.
Yeah, and, you can get into, nothing that we are talking about is proprietary. Everything that we've proposed here, we're talking about using your current systems. This is open, it's commercially available. Your Flowbird app, your mobile payment app, these are not something that we've built and designed and are selling on behalf of ourselves. This is all commercially available product.
Right.
Thank you.
And as we build out Power BI more and more throughout our company, as an incentive to you, it would pretty much just be the initial investment of the actual build-out of the dashboard. And then after that, there would be no reoccurring cost of Power BI to the city.
And is that something that we would have direct access to or have to come to your company to get
Correct.
the information reports, et cetera?
We would give you direct access.
Thank you.
It's a pretty good segue because we get into the financial proposal, and the RFP talked about the operator needing to provide a monthly P&L, highlighting all the revenues and all of the expenses as part of a management agreement. And so what we've done is we've provided you all a very transparent proposal and a very transparent financial proposal to go on top of that. Our financial model is very simple. It's very basic. The first thing I want to highlight overall, this is a service-first proposal. What I mean by that is we care about providing a good quality service to you. And in turn, you are going to receive fair effort from us to ensure that we are making the appropriate recommendations to enhance your program, providing good quality customer service to your visitors, to your residents, and to your business community. That's really important. We want to be a steward of your community, ambassador of your community, and we feel like our financial proposal matches that very well. So we've got, again, that dedicated manager, which is really important. They're not spread across multiple operations. We're providing good, competitive, quality wages at $17 an hour and $20 an hour for the various positions. A payroll load rate of 24%. That includes taxes, benefits, insurance, workers' compensation. That's very competitive, and that's a very fair offer. On top of that, we're doing this for a very modest base management fee of $28,000. Very fair, very modest, and everything else. And this also, like I said, any of the operating expenses, any of the payroll savings that come from our operation goes back to you as savings on your operating budget. It does not go to us as profit. And that's a really important thing to note, because the next couple of slides are going to give you an opportunity to kind of see how these bids were actually proposed. And this is now the way that the process worked the last time. We've been able to go back and do some research in terms of what was proposed from some of the other operators. And so it's really critical to break this stuff down so you understand how everybody gets paid. And so we've taken the opportunity to show you in this first analysis comparing with Company X. I'm not going to name the company, but you guys have everybody's proposals. You know what they proposed. And so I've taken the liberty to break everything down. And you look at if you focus on the bottom screen, the bottom part of the screen, the profit to us is $28,000. The return, revenue, violation revenue, and meter revenue, the return back to the city based on 2022 levels is $1.3 million. You see, if it gets to $1.6 million, what does that do? It keeps our profit at $28,000, and it raises the return to the city at $1.5 million. And as you go across and you look at their you look at how the deal changes, you see the gross profit to the operator continue to grow. And the city's return, frankly, doesn't change a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of deviation. And that's just doing a comparison with Company X. And I can provide this proposal or presentation to you, Desiree, once we're done, so that way you guys can get a little bit more understanding of how this whole thing works. I've taken the liberty to do this because I know this business. I know how it works. Yes, will we make a little bit of money? Yes, we will. We will make a little bit of money. But we're not out here to come here and make hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit off of this contract. That's not what we're here for, okay? So you look at the next company, Company Y. They did a revenue share, which frankly is it doesn't meet the bid specification based off of the way that the RFP is written. Again, $28,000 is where we are at. Now, I don't know how they're going to, it shows that they're potentially losing money if they're off of option one, but then again, I don't know how their operating expenses, what their operating expenses are going to look like. And frankly, you won't either because it's a revenue share. You're going to get your 76% or your 66%, and then that's it. They call it a day. There's not there's not an understanding of what your asset really is generating. This is the first time you are outsourcing your parking management program, right? You don't necessarily know the value of your asset because you haven't necessarily, not taking anything away from anybody in the room, but it hasn't been professionally managed as a true parking management program. And this is an opportunity for you to understand the value of your asset before you necessarily sell it, okay? And I don't do revenue share agreements. I don't like doing lease agreements on municipal deals because I want there to be full transparency in what we do and who we do it for because of the fiduciary responsibility that you all have to your taxpayers. I really, truly care about that. We all care about it. The vast majority of our deals are management agreements, and they're done for this reason. So you see, our profit changes, or our profit doesn't change, it holds steady, and then the city's profit and return as revenue adjusts based off of what if analysis at $1.6 million. What does that do to the city's return? There's not a significant deviation that you would expect there to be. This last one is with Company Z. I think it was somewhere around 2.9 million or 2.9% on the first 1.664 million, and then it grew to 5% over 1.664 million. What does that do? So it's a little bit closer in terms of the return and profit to the operator and so forth, but still a little bit less. We needed to absorb that upgrade to the parking equipment for the kiosks. We can do that and still be lower than their base management fee as you see here today. So I wanted to run this exercise, complete this exercise using real revenue from your program and an assessment of how everything kind of gets together. The other thing that I'd encourage you to do when you complete your analysis is to verify who actually is paying for the credit card fees. Because some people are saying that this is, I'm taking X% off of net revenue. And then other options are X percent off of gross revenue. That's a significant difference. The difference there is the credit card fees. Who's paying that credit card fee? I will tell you, our proposal had the credit card fees billed as an operating expense. It's billed as an operating expense because we are the merchant of record according to the RFP. That's how we bid it.
I
So-
think one thing that we were trying to drive home in these financial analysis slides is transparency. Our numbers are transparent, and that's pretty much what you're gonna get from us. Transparency from top to bottom, not hidden fees of this fee going to customers or the consumer, or this additional fee going for violations. We just wanted to hammer home transparency, and we're transparent in our numbers. Exactly what you see we're gonna make, that's what we're gonna make. We're not hiding what we're gonna make here, there, or wherever. We're just letting it all out right there. We're gonna make $28,000 on our management fee.
And thank you for mentioning that, because it's really, really important. Again, we went through this exercise because we wanted to understand the deal as it stands. And I don't expect you guys to necessarily know the inner workings of a parking company and how parking companies make money and how they, get to their desired bottom line. I don't expect you all to understand that. So yes, I took a little bit of liberty to go through this exercise because I felt that it was important for you guys to have a true apples-to-apples comparison of the financial proposals that you have been presented with. And we kind of get into why the car park. I think as Brendan has highlighted many times, and as you can tell through the presentation, we care about transparency. And you have the opportunity to take and to select an operator that is extremely experienced along the coastal Carolinas and throughout the Carolina market. We've got an incredible support team here in the Carolinas, and we care about doing good work because we care about who we're doing it for. And we understand about the fiduciary responsibility that we have to your community, and we really want to ensure that we manage to your expectations. Second item is our proposed technology and enhancements are budget-friendly. And all of the benefit, the financial benefit that will come from our recommendations ultimately goes back to you, the city. Any payroll savings, any operating expense savings, it all goes back to you, the city, not to us as profit. And then again, we have a proven track record and long-standing performance with a lot of our clients. And, Brendan highlighted some of these accounts that we've had in the Raleigh market. I mean, you're talking 25, 30-plus years. We've got accounts in Wichita, Kansas. We've been there since 2010. Boise, Idaho since, 2012. A lot of these contracts, again, I referenced Louisville. I've been working with them since 2004. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens because we're good people, we care about doing good work, and we execute, plain and simple. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate the opportunity to come back and to provide this more detailed analysis of our proposal, and look forward to any other questions that you may have.
Jane?
Could we go back to the financial
Yes.
slide?
Which one?
Let's start at the first one.
Yes.
The one with the numbers. The next one.
This first one? Okay.
Yeah. With that, I noticed that there were extra costs for renting the software systems that you discussed. Is that part of the fee that's up there now?
Yeah, so that would fall under estimated operator expenses. So that would be an additional $2,000 per month for that software analytics platform.
Okay, so that doesn't show up as an expense on this?
That's correct, because it's an option. It was not part of the bid specification, so we did not include it as part of our operating budget. So that would be an additional $2,000
Per month?
per month.
24,000 a year?
Now, that's dependent on which one that's the next city one, correct?
Yeah, so you're referring to this?
The paved mobility software, I think, was a fee for using software?
That is included, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. That is included in our operating budget.
And then you said there would be additional costs for other software that was optional, integrated data system, I think?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And how much does that usually run?
The integrated data system, this software analytics, is $2,000 per month.
So that's another 24,000.
Correct.
What about the kiosk upgrade, the 3,700?
That is not included. That's something that we would recommend that you do to move them to pay-by-plate. So that way you've got the seamless pay-by-plate option all throughout your entire platform.
How many kiosks do we have?
You have 18. It'd
Okay.
be about 60, I think it's around $67,000.
4 times
in
18
investment.
is, yeah.
And so we can, if you said, hey, we'd like to make this upgrade, will you make it part of your fee, or do you want to make it part of your operating budget? That's one thing, so that's billed back every month. Or if you wanted us to absorb it as part of our fee, we'll just do a straight line amortization over a 5-year period, and so our management fee would go from, $28,000 to roughly, $35,000, something like $37,000 a year, somewhere around there.
Okay. That's another question.
Just another quick question. When a customer's encountering an issue, are they going to call a 24/7 customer call center that's yours, and you're
Yeah,
going to?
so we will have the local office, that will be the first level of customer support. And then beyond that, if we need to add additional after-hour support, we do have a call center called Park on Call that services, over 200 some odd locations nationwide, and that we can have them service phone calls as well to assist with any sort of online payment issues or any sort of online dispute issues or anything along those lines. They can provide that level of support.
Okay, is that an additional cost off the hours or off the seasonal
No,
for the call center?
no.
And what about a website?
Yeah, so your current website actually has a lot of information that's valuable information. No issues with your current website. If you want a parking dedicated website, we have the ability to do that. That would cost $5,000 per year to design and host. But again, your current website, in my opinion, has a lot of valuable information, has a lot of value. It already has the links to online payments and online appeals and everything else. Get into a lot of good details. So, can we do more to draw more traffic to that website? Absolutely. There's certain things that we can be doing from a navigational perspective, with Google Maps or Apple Maps or Waze or anything along those lines to draw people to those destinations. I know that one of the companies has proposed a lot of sensor technology. That's a significant capital investment. Not only is it the capital investment, but the maintenance of that equipment and the civil work that's going to go into the installation of that is insane. It's just not necessary. And where you're up on Palm Boulevard, where you have all those spaces in the grass, think about these big pickup trucks or something along those lines, moving these pads around over time, and this, that, and the other thing. It's just not very practical, in my opinion. So,
There are different ways of doing parking accumulation studies. One of our biggest problems is we get full pretty fast on
Absolutely.
summer weekends. Do you use that your data for parking accumulation and reporting to
Absolutely.
the community?
we do. So the data, that's the other thing that the data analytics tool will be able to provide us, is when is the heaviest periods of demand. And the reality is,
I can tell you that right now.
the reality is by 10, 11 a.m., it's going to be pretty darn full, right? And that's not going to change a whole lot until maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
3.
So that's the other thing that I tend to sort of, shy away from some of these other technologies that cost a tremendous amount of money is, what your demand is going to look like every single day. I don't need to pay $100,000, whatever the capital investment may be for some of these capital investments, because it's not going to tell me anything more than what I already know.
Well, the
And
problem,
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, the problem isn't what we know, it's
The
what the
consumer.
public
Absolutely.
will believe when they see it, sort of
Because
thing.
Jan, your question was more about signage for
Signage,
public.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
directing them to certain areas.
How to let them know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
In
with, I know that Park Mobile has the ability to overlay demand onto their mobile app. So customers, when they're going to a parking destination, they have a sense of what that demand looks like already. Then the other thing, it's really interesting. People don't care. I used to work for a company called Parkopedia. I know that somebody referenced Parkopedia in a previous presentation. I actually used to work for them, so I was responsible for evangelizing Parkopedia throughout North America, because a lot of people don't exactly know what they do on the back end with automotive companies. And the thing is, people don't care about how many spaces are available. They care about the likelihood of them finding one space. One space. And there's always turnover occurring at a beach environment. There always is, right? Because Timmy gets sick and he's got to leave, you know, so somebody's leaving. And they just care about the opportunity to find that one space. Even if the sign is full on the bridge coming over, there's still going to be that family that's going to say, hey, we told the kids we're going to the beach, we're going to the beach, right? And that's just the simple reality. And it's so hard to change human behavior in a dynamic parking sign. It really is, because people just want the opportunity to go to the beach, and this is where they want to go. They want to go to Isle of Palms. And so they're always going to be coming over regardless of the signs that you have on the front. You can do more with the navigation system, which I think is really critical, because if you're working more with the navigation providers, that's when you're going to catch them, because they've already typed in their destination in their navigation or into their vehicle dashboard. That's when you need to tell them right now to say, hey, this is full. You're not likely to find a parking space. If you do it in the payment system or, you know, on the island when you already get here, it's almost already too late.
And we do partner with Waze and InRex that partners with several different navigation apps to get messages out there and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Last question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so does your proposal as is includes all startup, transition, CapEx? That's what you're saying, okay. Except for the items that we identified.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The extra dashboarding or, yeah. Desiree, anything?
No.
Yeah,
Yep.
quick question. You have Myrtle Beach as an account, right?
I know, I referenced the fact that I took that operation from free parking to paid parking back in 2004. So I was responsible for that and the oversight of that operation from 2004 to 2009.
Okay, all right.
So it's funny, I was back there a month and a half ago for a conference, and they still have big circles in their beach accesses. Why did we do that? We did that back in 2004 because in their beach accesses, some areas are private property and some areas are public right-of-way. And that was, they didn't want to put signs up on every single stall, so we put those big circles. They used to be green, I think now they're blue. But yeah, that was the best way to do it, and it worked pretty well. We also converted the pay station's functionality back then to only take in numeric numbers of a license plate for all the motorcycles. So that was like an idea that came up. They were like, hey, we've got 1 million motorcyclists coming in for Biker Week. How are we going to, you know, have paid parking in a pay and display environment? How are we going to charge for parking? And I started thinking about the functionality of the pay station. And they had pay by space, and they had pay and display back then. And I'm like, well, wait a second. If we just change the signage on the pay station to say motorcyclists use the numeric code of your license plate, and then you can enter that in, and if you're just an alpha-only code, just do 999. That's what they did before pay-by-plate was available by these providers. And it worked, and people paid. And it was incredible. It saved the city so much money. They were able to capture revenue that they wouldn't have captured otherwise. So a little bit of creativity, a little bit, you know, taking me down the nostalgia lane. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's a good operation.
The only other question I have is regarding competitive pay rates. How do you benchmark that with a resort area like we have? We live on a barrier island. We have a lot of service industry around here, a lot of tourism, even in adjoining communities. So you're going to be competing against a lot of other different businesses to get the best ambassadors.
Yep, great question. And so our enforcement wages, our maintenance wages, we're at $17 an hour. The manager proposed salary was $75,000, very competitive wage. And then the office manager position that we have for 40 hours over the course of the year, or 40 weeks out of the year, was at $20 an hour. And then in the off-season, there's still some enforcement requirements and responsibilities, and that's where that manager will still be involved and facilitate a lot of that enforcement activity that you guys are requesting.
And we got to that through our HR team. They basically do an analysis of different, like, markets, right? So different beach communities across the Carolinas and other closely represented communities to see what the right rate is to attract the best talent. So they sort of give us like mid-tier, top tier, and bottom tier of what you should pay. And we always tend to go to the high end of the mid-tier. So we're not necessarily all the way at the top of the market, but towards the top of the market, so you can attract the best talent.
Yeah, we completed a wage analysis in one of our accounts, and the majority of their wages were at the bottom 25 percentile, and we benchmarked that against 10 different communities. And we are working with them, we have a call with them tomorrow to adjust that to try to get in that 65 percentile range. And it's all based on that type of analysis. We've got software compensation, software that our HR team uses that Brendan referenced.
I think we've got a good expert sitting right here that can help you with that, our police chief. and what-
I'm
what
happy
works
to
here,
have that
so-
conversation. I
Yeah.
hope we do get to have that conversation.
You will, yeah, if you're hired.
Thank you, guys,
Thanks.
for coming back.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the
Thank you
information.
very much.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks for your time, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Yeah.
Some places I've worked, you don't get those, so.
You ever get the one finger wave? I think we've had a few of those too.
That's what I was saying. Good job, number one. I like it.
You know where that comes from? It's great. Y'all know where this comes from? It's really interesting. It's from Roman times. Because the Roman archers would use this finger to pull the bow back. And so the Romans, whenever they conquered an army, would cut off the middle finger of every archer. So when people were retreating from a Roman army, the archers would do that and say, I'll be back another day.
I'll be back to get you.
I told my kids that and it ruined it for them. They quit flipping the bird. It made too much sense.
I think it's a stronger argument. I like it even more now.
I'll be back.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Let me tell you, that's how-
You want me to give a talk to the whole department, I'll be happy to. No,
We'll save that talk.
I'll be like, Chief, I'll be back to your office later, and that's how I'll signal that.
Yeah, see, I'll be back. I like it.
She was straight, very rigid, and we go through
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to move this way. Here.
here now.
Last time we were able to move it was remote.
Oh, we can plug in the, oh, yes.
How are you? How did your policeman do?
He's doing great.
No problems?
Yeah. That same, really.
That's good. I'm sorry for calling you
No, no, no.
yesterday.
I'm glad you did.
Jack, you know Jack Skelton, right? He sent me the email and got me set up. So I'm good. Okay.
And I'm gonna give you control. Here's the clicker.
Desiree, you ready? Are you ready or not?
Um,
All right, I'm plugged in.
Is this displaying that one?
Displaying her.
So click cancel. Is this, oh, there it is. So I think you need to click your presentation mode.
All right. Oh, boy. It does better than that.
So it's not showing.
You might have to, that's his computer, right?
Yeah.
He probably needs to go to display, it's not on display.
Oh. In your settings.
You want to drive?
Huh, why is it displaying one thing and not the other?
Just in case. They're lucky they've got two.
All right, so do you want to pull up your presentation again?
Sure thing. So, PowerPoint. There it is.
Oh, it says it can't read it. All right, let's try. 1 second.
Got any trips planned? Got any good trips planned?
Oh, it says it's unavailable.
Wednesday, I gotta run up
It's
the
not
wall.
reading your.
Oh, they're
Can you
talking.
email it to me? Maybe we can try it on my.
She gotta have- she
Oh,
rented a
I don't think
house
that's
over
gonna
on-
work either.
It's 3-bedroom.
Yeah, I can't even see PowerPoint now.
Well, no, she's not doing it. She's decided.
Let me try this one.
So she's gonna switch from psychiatric into some postpartum. So she's actually gonna be switching. I think she's gonna switch. Well, it's a whole different, I think she got burned out. So. She did that for 7 years. That was the program she was going into.
Why is it not reading it?
Well, she's gonna be here, which is kind of nice. She got hired out in that, yeah.
Are you able to email it to me? And we can,
Sure try. I think so. She's starting to
where,
get a feel.
where in your PC is it?
What are you doing? Just kind of put you back at the bottom. That's okay, she's fine. 7/7. She'll do 3/7/7. She's done that before, so she's kind of mapping it all out. She likes working with.
Can you
animals,
take
so
it
she's
off of the
also
flash drive?
Here.
Yes.
Here, that hospital.
Let's do this.
It's
It's got that one and it's got a regular
That way she doesn't
USB.
have to go back and forth. Yeah. She's just got to go full long term. But she loves it, she's voluntary. She's voluntary. That's how
Oh, I can't, no.
It's got a regular USB and a smaller.
No, we're in that. Is it all right here? No, two.
No.
I think it's next week, actually.
No, it's
2 weeks.
It's gonna be.
Yeah, I think we're heading up Tuesday.
Okay, let's
Let's
leave
just-
it there, and I will
Let's
just,
just do it.
No, it is.
you tell me and I will
Okay.
click
Yeah,
it.
all right, that's
There we go.
next week. Yeah, these next 2 weeks.
Thank you. Sorry.
Sorry.
There you go.
Good to go?
Yes, sir?
You guys want me to stand over here with the microphone?
Yes, please.
I hate microphones. How y'all doing? I'm Matthew Pasquinelli. I am partners with Mark Pratt and One Park. I am the owner of Patriot Parking here in Charleston, South Carolina. And I want to say I appreciate you allowing us to come back for the final discussion and presentation. We're excited. Something that I think is important to state is that a lot of the companies that have come in, the other two, the one that was here prior and the one that will come in after us, they flew in here, and I reiterate that. They flew in here from, whether it's from Chattanooga or Iowa or wherever else they're coming from. They're coming from out of state. I'm 7.5 minutes down the road. I have been in the parking business for over 40 years. I started federal parking in Washington, D.C. back in 1991. And I took $2,000 from my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, and we built a $20 million a year company with 500 employees. And I'll get into that in a little while about customer service and things like that, but I can clearly state with my whole heart that I understand IOP. I've lived here for 5 years, and in the 5 years that I've lived here in the Charleston area and on Mount Pleasant, I get the idea of why we're afraid of growth and out-of-control growth and people coming in and upsetting the balance. I completely understand that. It's personal for my wife and my family here. This is where we come to the beach. We always plant our umbrella down between 7th and 9th Street, down by the old Norris House. Okay? It's personal for me here. And I have, I think, a good understanding of what the constituency of your people are, the people of Isle of Palms, their concerns, their fears, and what they want to see out of a parking operation. And so, as I said, I take that very personally. I don't normally take projects with Mark's company around the country. I'm local. We've always been local, whether it was in Washington, D.C. or here. I have 2 parking operations, one down at 25 Calhoun, that is right down from the Liberty Gates, as well as one at Shem Creek, 410 Mill Street. We run those operations on the weekend. Currently have a payroll of about 6 people that are with us, okay? I built federal parking in 1991. As I said, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law gave us a $2,000 loan so that we could buy our first insurance policy to cover the company. Subsequently, we built it to a $20 million a year company and with close to 500 employees. How did we get there? It was very simple. We strived for excellence every day. We consistently strived for excellence. And that was all based on not me being a suit and tie, but me being boots on the ground. I was involved every day with the operations, both internally in the office every morning, every afternoon, and then I was on the road every night, wearing a uniform, working the garages, working the valet operations with my employees. I think it's incredibly important that you be boots on the ground so that you know exactly what's going on day to day, hour to hour in your operations. And I just had the other day, I think it was 2 weekends ago, when I was working at the 25 Calhoun location, I had a young lady approach me, and she said, I need to talk to someone in your management offices. I'd like to speak with somebody. And I said, well, I can help you. And she was like, no, I'm with the aquarium, and I need to talk to upper management. I don't need to talk to an attendant. And I said, well, I'm the owner of the company. How can I help you? And she was quite honestly taken back by that. She said, why are you working your parking lot? And I said, I work my parking lots so I understand what's going on in my parking lots for my clients. And so she was taken back by that, and we had a good little discussion. They needed some space for an upcoming event at the aquarium. But long story short, you know, it's about being on the ground, being in touch with your people. I mean, Desiree, you mentioned to me one time that you're looking for a white glove approach for the city of IOP, the IOP. Well, white glove approach is different from one person to another. Each of us has a different opinion of what white glove service is all about. But I think if you boil it all down, white glove service is all about attention to detail and having people that are truly committed to the product, truly committed to whatever they're selling, whatever they're representing. And when it comes to something like this with the IOP, that's extraordinarily personal with me. I want to see it done right. And over the 30 years I own federal parking and the 5 years that I've been here, it's all been personal with me. We just don't take just jobs. We take things that are important to us that we know we can strive for excellence and deliver excellence, and that's all about consistency. And I can guarantee you, if you people hire us, each of you will be given my phone number. You can see it within the budget. There's a line item right in there, Matthew Pasquinelli, and there's a price for me there. And there you see my hours there. And I can guarantee you whatever my hours are shown on that paper will be longer hours, okay? And if there's a problem, you'll have my phone number. You know, Blair, you call me, Matt, we got a problem over here, I'm on my way. Where are you at? I'll come meet you. Kevin, you want me? You know you'll get my phone number. That's how I do things. And I think for what you're looking for and what you need, you know, you don't need somebody from Chattanooga that's going to come down here and relocate and is looking for their next job in the corporate structure. I'm not going anywhere. They're going to bury me in the backyard of South Carolina, okay? I'm in. I'm dug in deep, okay? And that's what you get with me. And that's what you get with one park at Patriot. So I'll turn it over to Mark.
Hey, Mark, before you go, can you just explain the relationship?
Sure. We are one parking. Desiree, let's go back a slide if you don't mind, please. We are one parking.
These are your numbers.
Yes, based out of West Palm Beach, Florida. Greg Sussick, the late Greg Sussick, and Kirsten Dolan, his wife, formed it 20 years ago. We probably have close to 150 locations now. It's been a relatively good few weeks since I saw you last, so we've grown a bit. We're in 14 different markets. Income increase on takeovers is 15 to 40%, sometimes even more dramatic than that. So Kirsten and I have been friends for 30 years. I've been doing this since 1984. Kirsten and I joined teams 5 years ago, and I left another company as CEO of that company of about a similar size, and now I also live in West Palm Beach. I've been trying to do business with Matt for 20 years. We met as friendly competitors in Washington, D.C. He whipped me a couple of times, so I tried to do business with him.
What does doing business with him mean?
We would join on an account. If we had a huge account with a garage, a valet, and a massive service, then we could team with Matt to maybe provide the valet.
So what's the structure for us, is what I'm trying to get to. Are y'all in partnership and both deliver? Just explain legally what we're doing here.
We've formed a partnership here with Matt being the managing partner in the city. He's the man, he's the boots on the ground. We're the corporate structure. where the admin, the insurance, the P&Ls, the behind the scenes, that is one parking's role. Matt is the one who would be here as the chief, run day-to-day operations, work every day in season, and be our man. So we have formed this partnership in order to come to you. The next slide shows many different municipal contracts that myself and Kirsten have had over the 30 to 40 years that we've been doing business. Again, since I met with you last, we picked up a couple of more municipal contracts very similar to the Isle of Palms. Next slide. Desiree, I'm trying to move on because I think I'm supposed to leave some time for questions.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
accurate? Okay.
Yes, sir.
You feel free to stop me anytime you want, though. We're going to be talking about the people, the technology, the financials, how we accomplish what we want to accomplish. Next slide. Again, this is our headquarters, our regional org chart. Matt fits in as a regional vice president. I'm the president, Kirsten the CEO, and that's the people that we have that would work on the project with us. Kirsten bears mentioning a MBE, WBE certification, woman-owned business, if that's of interest. Sometimes that bears points for municipalities, and I just wanted to mention it. This is my drawing of what's going on here, so I could put it together in my head and try to understand what you have between the 1,255 households, lots A and B, what I call the CBD zone, the Ocean Boulevard zone, and the Palm Boulevard zone. And that's the way I'll address some of the technology that I'll be talking about. How do we improve the leisure experience for the citizens and visitors alike to IOP, provide an efficient but white glove experience to those visiting your city, leverage new and emerging technologies about the best experience, provide a fiscally responsible parking service, provide the citizens in over 1,250 homes right here with an improved control and registration convenience, and with customer service and experience in mind, how do we generate the highest income possible? Next. Our, what I'd like to call big idea is what I call the informer, the sign that's located on the bridge coming over onto the island that would, quite frankly, tell people where they can park before they get into gridlock. So the sensors that we will put in place on both the on-street spaces, on the metered spaces, and in lots A and B will drive this sign. Now, the information that you see on the sign can also be driven to your own website. So imagine your own website. You have a new drop-down, where can I park? People on their phones as they're driving over are on your website, hit the drop-down, and they know that on Lot A there's 23 spaces. Lot B, there's 121, 44 on-street, 26 along Ocean Boulevard, but 217 along Palm Boulevard. So before they even come, I would imagine everyone tries to go straight and come to lots A and B. Right? Everybody wants to be there, but there will be a point in time, of course, where that's full. It's better that they know that before they reach the intersection, right? They can know that via this sign, or they can know this via the app that we have placed in your website, or else we've created a whole new app called Tell Me Where to Park in IOP. So people know before they get here and create gridlock. That is accomplished by two sensors. Let me just. This is one of the sensors. This is a surround that can be used if you want to put tap cons and put this in the ground, for instance, on your meters where you have concrete or asphalt, and you can affix this to the ground. This is a fairly high profile, so we all have to be concerned about being a possible trip hazard, but this is the easiest way to mount this. What we would have to do in the grass is pop it out and mount this. We've developed a concrete surround that you would put this into, epoxy it into a concrete plate, and you have to drop it below the surface because you're mowing that grass. If you put this up, you might just mow right over it and tear up the sensor. So in case you want to look at it, leave this right here. Those sensors are how we control the grass spaces. They can also be core drilled and put into the concrete or the asphalt. You do not have to use that surround. They can be flush mounted. These sensors are actually like small speed bumps. Those sensors are so easy to install. Since I saw you last, I installed them in one of my garages just so I could do it and understand it. And it took me less than 2 hours during my first install of this to actually install these sensors so we have a full-time, real-time, 24/7 count in that particular parking garage. Those two sensors are what drives that informer sign. It's as simple as that. This is relatively simple. That's not. You have to, if you wanted to know how many spaces you had along Palm, then you have to bury those in the grass, and they take account of all cars parked above them. Next slide. Informational maps are also possible. This is an actual copy of Oakville, Canada, where thousands of these sensors have been installed in every single space in the city of Oakville, Canada. So when the residents want to know where they can park in a dozen lots, they go to the site, they pull up these maps. Wherever there's a green light, they can park in those green lights. So it's greatly helped with congestion. It's helped with, with many, many things in Oakville. The city of Arlington, Virginia has just started to install literally 5,000 of these sensors in all their on-street spaces. So this is becoming more accepted and less costly. Since I visited you last, a friend of mine has taken over as president of the company that generates these sensors, and I dare say that I could probably go down on the price of these 20% since I was here presenting to you last. And that makes a big difference because it's a couple $100,000 for all these sensors. This, again, is just a depiction of how we go from these two sensors through a process to the informer signed and also to your app. And unfortunately, I could talk about that all day. I'm not going to in the interest of time. We would patrol the residence areas looking for license plates with vehicles like this. The amortization that you see in my pro forma is for 2 of these vehicles and also 2 of the vehicle-mounted license plate recognition systems that you would need to capture your plate as a resident if you've signed and are qualified to park over here on the Isle of Palms. We control the zones using LPR. Non-plated vehicles would receive stickers such as golf carts or motorcycles. Homeowners now no more come to you for permits. The homeowners go onto our site or your site, depending where you wanted to host it, give us the license plate of their vehicles or the visitors that are coming to see them. And when we patrol the neighborhoods with those vehicles, we pick up those plates via LPR. So a rush to see the police for seasonal stickers or permits and permits for visitors to the 1,250 homes, it becomes much, much more convenient for the resident not to have to do that. This is what I wanted to do in Del Rey. That's a depiction of a fully electric cart with a license plate recognition camera mounted on the top. That's not possible. I discovered this after I tried to go this route. There's not enough amps, there's not enough juice in the EV, fully electric vehicle, to power this for a 12-hour day. So we had to abandon that and go with hybrids. Parking lots in A and B are simply a breeze. Fixed license plate recognition cameras capture the plates of visitors to lots A and B. They have 15 minutes to pay, either by a reverse QR, there's signs everywhere, hover over this QR, it takes you to a payment portal, pay that way, right? Or join the IOP VIP club, which you could form, and you put your credit card on file one time, you come to the lots as often as you want, and you never have to pull up the app. The LPR recognizes your car, charges you the $10 or $15, and you go on about your business at the beach. If they exit the lot, I'm sorry, go back one, Desiree. If they exit the lot without paying, the LPR has picked up your plate, you came in. The LPR has picked up your plate as you leave. The system says you were there 3 hours. You owe us $10 or $15. You didn't pay. The system automatically generates a citation that goes to the visitor, the owner, and you get at least your $10 or $15, and then those fees can be, frankly, as punitive as you want them to be. They can be $20 for a $15 session, or they can be $85. You know, the thing about a management agreement is we take our marching orders from you. If you tell us you want to be punitive and charge $100, we do it. If you tell us you want to charge $22, we do it. So on all the rates and the protocol, we take our marching orders from IOP. Right?
Is that an automated process?
Yes, it is. Yes. There's a slight manual in that part of the process, in that before we send a citation, we compare the stills of the license plate just to make sure that everything is proper. We go through anything we're going to send a citation to, pull up the actual pictures, the timestamps, make sure the in matches the out, and then we proceed with sending the citation.
So we give you the business rules, you apply them.
Yeah, on this and really everything else. If you tell us you wanted more patrols, you get more patrols. If you think that our pro forma is heavy, then we talk about that and we do less patrols. So, like any management agreement, it's not like we're coming in on a lease saying we'll give you the 1.669 million you made last year and we'll take this over. Under that, I get to make the rules, right? I'm throwing $1.6 million out there as a hard lease. Under this, it's a management agreement. You're paying us a fee, in essence, to do what you say. So all the protocol, all the rules are yours. We just enforce your rules. This is our pro forma, which I tried to make very obvious on what we were going to do by including the time of day and who was working and when they would work and how much it would be, carrying it out all the way to the 13% burden and giving you a total of what each position would cost. You notice Matt is the first one on one of your Polarises that I think we could use if you allowed it. And Matt's out patrolling from 7 a.m. to 12 noon. You see what he would make, the burden, the total, and this is for the in-season portion of the work. This is Monday through Friday and then Saturday and Sunday. On the next slide, you'll see off-season, and it's, of course, quite a bit less with, patrolling of a couple of people. And again, we drove the area again before coming in. It's Spartan compared to, I imagine, what it is in season and on the weekend. But these are what we planned, a couple of people, even in the off season. You've said you wanted someone in the office, so office is staffed and then roving thereafter. And on Saturday, we have one person roving from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The total labor for the entire year is about $356,000, which includes, again, the burden on, and by burden, I mean FICA, FUTA, SUTA, workers' comp. So that's total payroll. The next slide will give you an idea of the total expenses for everything for the entire year. That's a little tough to see, but basically we're coming down to a total operating expenses of about $514,000. That includes soup to nuts, full-time group health, human resources, liability insurance, the biggest of which is for the enforcement vehicles. It's very expensive for us to procure a PIP protection on those vehicles to the tune of about $9,000 a year. But I could go through this one by one, but basically this is everything we think we need to do the job that you want. Then, very candidly, you see a management fee at the bottom of 2.9% up to the 2022 actual, which was 1.664 million. And then 5% of revenue over that. And if we bring you a new $1 million, then we get 50,000 of it, all right? We can skin that cat that way, or we can give you a base fee of 0. And we'll simply add a convenience fee of 50 cents, let's say, onto the payment process for all of this parking. So we can do it this way. We can do it that we push a fee. In the city of Delray Beach, that's proven to be very popular because the residents are about 9% of the parking, and it's visitors that make up 91%. So we're pushing a fee to the visitors that come to park in your city. Therefore, it's not a $50,000 burden on you. So that management fee can be structured either way you want to do it. If we go to the next slide, this is how I extrapolated that. And I'm way open to being wrong here because we got some really nice information in totals, but we didn't get some information like volumes. And you'll see the Ocean Boulevard, the meters, I came up with about 73,000 transactions, and on lots A and B, I came up with roughly 65,000 transactions on lots A and B. I'm sorry?
They don't turn over.
They don't. This, again, this is pure extrapolation on my part in order to illustrate if you wanted to go with a tack on, a push of a convenience fee to the visitors coming to Isle of Palms, then you forego paying us a management fee, fixed or otherwise, and push that cost along to the customers. And as far as that's concerned, you're all business people. I know you could take the entire 500,000 and work up a convenience fee that would basically push all those costs to the visitors coming to the beaches. All right. Okay. Just an illustration, maybe a little bit of bragging on our part. What we're seeing, you saw my first slide that said we'll increase revenue 15 to 40%. At Pompano Beach, for example, the 2019 revenue pre-COVID was about 2.3 million. And last year, post-COVID, the revenue was 5.1 million. So our revenue has exploded. A lot of it has to do with the use of technology, a better use of technology, the mounted LPR system that we use there, I would envision using right here as well. It's a great system. So that's, I wouldn't say that's par for the course. 2.2x is a big increase over a few years when you consider that COVID was killing everybody right in 2020. So even pre-COVID, we're up 2.2 times the total revenue in Pompano Beach. The citations would go out at an amount you set. It could be $35, it could be $75, whatever you want, but the convenience fee associated with the citation is what goes to the technology and to drive the technology, to keep it running, if you will. And then the rest of the money comes in and goes to you. In another city that we operate, if you look at the right, we have a $39.99 citation. We push $4.99 plus a $5 of the revenue to tech to keep that running. But we're talking thousands and thousands of sensors and many garages, et cetera. It takes a lot of money to buy and install the license plate recognition cameras and to keep that running. There's a big process behind the scene to invoice people, track the invoices, chase the money, bank your money, and then pay for the technology. Then finally,
I'm sorry, so help me understand that those numbers are baked into your pro forma, or how does that?
no, I've done it in the pro forma. The only thing you see in the pro forma in regard to the amortization of this technology is something that you have to have. You have to have a couple of vehicles and vehicle-mounted patrolling LPR. Those two costs together, I believe from memory, are about $187,000. if I need to, I can come over with Desiree and pull up my Excel and talk to you exactly. The informer sign, the sensors in the ground, all of that technology is not required, but if you want it, then we can certainly do it, and I can certainly tell you how much the cost is. But frankly, in order to be competitive in this process, I show in amortization the $187,000 at a 10% cost of money at a 5-year term to amortize 2 vehicles and the patrolling LPR. The informer sign is a $15,000 item. The speed bump type parking logic sensors are $25,000, and the sensors, the 1,000 sensors along Ocean and Palm embedded in the ground are another cost of about $300,000. So if you told me you wanted to do that, then we could buy it, we could roll it in as amortization, you could buy it, or you could say, you know what, we really don't want any of that.
So startup CapEx that's in your proposal, the 182 at the 10% cost divided by 5.
That's
And that's it.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. The other technology, again, I can come over and pull it up and talk to you about the cost of that technology. But if I rolled that amortization into this process, I'm going to look like I'm sky high costly compared to everyone else. If you tell me that you want that amortization, I can pull out an app on my phone and we can talk about that right now, and I can tell you exactly how much that's going to be.
So are all your reporting, analytics packages, all that in there for us to have access to? or-
Yes, all income statements, summary of postings, revenue summaries, check registers, all that flows up to your income statement, that's all included.
I'm looking at how, if we want to get some visibility into the spaces that are available, or what's our parking turnover in a specific lot, the in and out, analytics related to the parking, not the financials, is that in your package or not in your package?
Let me think, it is there with what's already here. The 2 roving vehicles with the license plate recognition.
But do we get like a dashboard, do we get access
Yes.
to that shows, what does it show?
It shows turnover, occupancy, red zones, green zones. The red zones are the ones that typically, historically, have most of the business. Average ticket price, average length of stay, it shows a great many things wherever you have that. The single space sensors give you more analytics than I think you'd care to look at. It gives you a book of analytics on what's taking place in every single space. Then again, the small speed bump type sensors that I installed myself, they were working in 1 hour, and I've had analytics on that has been very telling ever since. That garage is held close to the vest of the building manager, and she never wants to give up a space, yet I know in a 263 space garage, since I installed the sensors, she has an average of 153 open spaces in the garage that is supposedly full and can hold no one else.
Can I ask you a quick question on the citation slide that you showed? It showed like an example of a $40 ticket, 10's getting taken off the top, and then it looks like we're splitting the 30. How does that work? Is that 10 somewhere in your financials that you're showing us?
If we had no, that part of the process and citation revenue is not showing in your revenue of 1.664 million. To be very candid, where we have installed the license plate recognition and this technology, the revenue has fairly exploded. And the citation revenue is another revenue stream that comes in and has been very beneficial to all locations where we've installed this
That's outside your
technology.
proposal.
That is outside the proposal. That is revenue that we could talk about. But again, anybody can come in here and tell you, I'm going to take your revenue from 1.664 million to $5 million. Well, how are you going to do that? I can calculate. After 40 years, I'm pretty good at extrapolation and knowing this. But it's not real unless I sit down and have a conversation with Desiree or somebody who knows the numbers of what you're doing right now. Then we could come to a very real calculation. I will share this in another Isle of Palms type setup that we've won since I visited with you last, the reality of it was the revenue was a $5 million find. And it was a conservative pro forma that gave us the $5 million. In reality, it was almost too good. So I went in and made it much more conservative, and it came in at $2.9 million, found revenue just from using the static LPR. What you have here is roving, mobile LPR on top of those two Ford Escapes.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand, when you describe the citation revenue, like on in and out of the parking lot, that tickets are going to be automated and written and sent,
Yes.
sounds like, to somebody, but that's not in the proposal, or it's in the proposal? Because, or are there two types of citation revenue in the parking lots and out of the parking lots? I'm just trying to understand.
Okay,
what's-
good question. There is no citation revenue showing in the $1.664 million that I showed you. That's your.
So issuing those tickets out of the parking lot is not part, that's an addition to, okay.
That's in
Not your
addition to
proposal.
your own revenue.
Got it.
And again, I've not focused highly on your revenue because I feel that anybody can come in here and throw a couple more $1 million of revenue at you, and you really have to dig in order to find out if that's true or not. I've focused on what it would cost to do this. This citation, for example, this is what we've done in another city. In reality, if we had a $40 citation, what we would probably do is you want your $15 for a Saturday on Lot B. You want that. You want, tech needs $4.99 to keep running, to keep the websites running, to keep the citation process running. And then you apply the punitive amount, $30, $40, $50, whatever you want. The tech gets the $4.99, you get the $15 plus the lion's share of whatever punitive amount you want to throw on there. So that's all up to you. I hope I'm not confusing things, but it's driven by the protocol that you want to establish. In addition, you have look-in capabilities. If you needed us to forgive the mayor, for example, I don't know if the mayor's in here or not, but if you wanted the mayor to be forgiven, then you just tell us
You said doubled.
you can't give a citation. Or if you want it doubled, you can't. We take those marching orders for you. That's very fluid. I mean, there's some things that have to be, the only thing that's stable in the process is $4.99 has to come back and pay for the tech. If you want your $15 for Saturday parking on Lot B, you add it to it. If you want to say to people and send a message, if you don't pay, you're going to pay a $50 on top of everything else, then that's what we do. If you say, well, let's let them up easy, let's make that $5, then that's what we do. You get your money back either way on the total that pay us for those citations. Then over and above, if you have a scofflaw list, the mayor comes in and parks all the time and will never pay. Well, he goes on a scofflaw list. The next time he comes back from the beach, then he's got either a barnacle, which is a big, gigantic, open book suction type device that goes on the windshield of the car, or a boot on the wheel. We can play this any way you want to play it. It's one of the reasons we like Ford Escapes. We throw half a dozen barnacles in the back of it. We see the mayor, he's been on the scofflaw list since last Christmas. We put a barnacle on the windshield, and the mayor has to call us and pay before the barnacle comes off. Does that make sense? Okay. And then all kinds of reasons to choose one parking. I think the technology is a great idea. I think that you have an opportunity right now with all this emerging technology. I hope it's with us, but even if it's not, you have a lot of technology at your disposal that can make this a much better experience for not only the visitors that are on the bridge waiting to go one way or the other, but also your residents. You just go onto a website now, you give us up to 3 to 5 plates that you own, and you never have to come in for a permit. You don't have to come in for visitors permits. If you have a golf cart, we're going to have to deal with that through a sticker to go on the golf cart, because I think there's no plates on golf carts. If I'm wrong about that, then your golf carts are just like your cars. We can do it that way as well. And then, of
Just
course.
ask one question on the technology. Is your technology open, or is it proprietary, or is it off the shelf? Or do you have a combination?
We have a combination. I mean, I was talking to Matt coming over, like, how do I get across that so much of this is about the amalgamation of 4 different technologies? The mobile LPR, the static LPR, the speed bump sensors, and that sensor, the in-ground sensor. You got to meld them all together, but it's all floating in our cloud. It's all reporting up to our cloud, and the cloud is saying, you either paid or you didn't pay, right? Or you're a resident, you're parking in the residence area. I see your license plate, but you're not registered to be in this area, so you're a violator. The cloud
That's a one-park platform.
Yeah, no. That's not accurate. T2 is the platform for the mobile LPR. Then there's other technologies. That sensor is an 11x sensor. The speed bumps are parking logics. We've just been very successful in pulling them all together. But I would be dishonest if I said that we own that. I am the one, if you are in a parking garage over in the city, if you push a help button and you see a real live person and that person helps you out of the parking garage, even by vending the gate remotely. I invented that process back in 1999 and I patented it in 2010, right? But I sold that process to others. So I've dabbled in tech for a long time now, and we have been successful in pulling all these techs together to generate the kind of returns like I showed for Pompano Beach. But it's out there, it's available. You guys can give your residents and your visitors a much better experience through use of this technology. And I can talk about the cost of that technology right now if you would like, or I can come back later and talk to you about it as long as you want.
Yeah, we need to wrap if we can.
Okay, sure. I think I've said everything I need to say. We want your business. We'd love to be here. You're right in our wheelhouse. We're not 5,000 locations, 1,000 locations. We're 150 locations. We have great municipal contracts. Basically, I love them. If you do the job for a municipality and do it right, you can be here for many, many years. And I love those kind of relationships. So that's about all I have to say. Do you have any questions for me?
Okay, I'll go first. I have several. Getting back to what the mayor asked in the beginning, the relationship between you two. Are you the prime consultant on this? And Mark, a sub to you, or is Mark part of your company?
We've not to be evasive, we've done both. We have had contracts where we're the prime. We've had some where we're sub. We've formed a partnership relationship, but what you would probably come to me with any.
Who gets the bill? Who gets the bill?
We would.
Okay,
One
that's what I
parking
need
would
to
get
know.
the bill.
Okay,
And one
that's-
parking would pay all the bills. So we pay everything, then we ask for you for reimbursement by the 10th of the following month.
That's fine, that's.
Typical
okay.
management agreement.
All right, the next one was what you said about using the LPR equipment. We were assuming that we would be able to use the LSVs that we use for parking patrol now. And are you saying that LPR equipment will not work with the electric vehicles that we have?
I'm sorry, LSV is what?
The
Low-speed.
low-speed
Oh,
vehicles.
the Polaris
golf cart.
type vehicles?
They're low-speed vehicles, they're basically golf carts, but
Probably not.
they're electric vehicles.
If you have a handheld, right, this very same process can be accomplished with a handheld. You either plug in that plate or you point it and take a picture of that plate. If you have handhelds, of course, those will still work. The mounted 2 on each roof, so it can get both sides of a drive aisle, 2 on each roof, mounted with a computer in the vehicle and a printer to print citations, pulls too many amps.
Okay.
Even on a full-sized EV, it pulls too many amps in
Okay.
order to be able to use it.
Okay.
We've had to go to a hybrid.
So, I mean, I'm just, proposal to proposal comparative. We assume we were using our low-speed vehicles, so,
You can.
what you're telling me is with other proposals, we need to also include the cost of a full-size, or a hybrid vehicle or a full-size vehicle, if we want to do it the way you're proposing?
If you want to be ultimately efficient, you have the placed LPR cameras on the roof of the vehicle, right?
Right.
Then within, you have the brains that drive that. If
And
you
that would-
want to use that, then you have to go with a gas-powered
That's right.
ICE vehicle.
Okay.
If you want to continue to use the handhelds, I think they're T2 handhelds already, and you don't have to change anything. We could do that, but it's not nearly
I'm
as
just
fast
trying to
and
get to make
efficient.
sure we're comparing cost
Sure.
between the proposals.
So
That's
if
all.
anybody else has proposed those cameras, those rooftop mounted,
Yeah.
you can't do
Okay.
it with 100%
Let me
EV.
move on, because I'm taking up too much time. So let me just get summarized that you said in the parking lots, we'll be using fixed cameras.
Yes,
Okay, and similar to, I think, what we have at the airport here now, where it records ins and outs, and you don't even need a ticket to pay, it could be automatic.
right.
Okay, that's good. And then you'll use the your vehicle-mounted sensors for drive-bys in our areas that are not as easy, that don't have
Up
ins
in
and
the
outs.
1,250 home
Okay.
neighborhoods
Okay.
is where I
And then-
envision those being heavily used.
Those mats that you put down, where would those be used? I'm
Those would be used in lots A and B, where you have a funnel entry and exit. You can put those down. They're this wide, they're that tall. You put them not in the drive path, you put them between the tires. So you don't have people driving over a speed bump. You have people just driving over a sensor.
Okay, you need those and the fixed cameras in the lots?
Not if you don't, the speed bumps, let's call them, are
Yeah.
only for counts. That's to drive counts of lot A and B onto your informer sign. You don't have to have that. This is where it can get really muddy. We don't have to have all this technology. If you don't want that sign, if you don't want to push counts and available spaces to your constituents, you don't have to have this.
So the camera readers that are counting ins and outs in a lot, you can't get your accumulation from that data?
The camera readers are not yet doing the count. All they are is capturing the plates. We're probably
Okay.
6 months to a year away.
It's a different system.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Desiree, anything else from you?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time, yep.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We need their center. Hey, Scott, you take them their center thing back there.
Oh,
the
yes.
sensor.
Over here.
Might try it out.
Was coming for it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Here's your computer.
You better give you your dongle back.
Yes, give me my dongle.
Did I? Yep, I left that here. Okay.
Good seeing you.
Thank you, thank you. Appreciate you having us.
I know.
This is a redo of what we already got. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Saying this again, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yep, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming back.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
So if you don't trust me.
I didn't say that.
Oh, well, I'm still want to watch the It does help to go through it. Yeah.
We need one more and get rocking.
I got $1.
Here we go.
I got $1.
All right, we ready?
Yes. We need to get their presentation.
I'm gonna start drinking. It is.
And John is on board for two.
Hey, again.
Here,
Here, here,
here.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hello.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you. Anyone here? Anyone
Yes.
here? Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Tina. We have a quorum, so whenever you're
Rock
ready.
on.
All right, our last presentation for this morning is from Pivot Parking.
Oh, man,
Bar,
look at
just
you.
to kind of help hold you
Look at
over.
you.
a little
Just
bit.
talking about it. Tapeworm. Thank you.
Always like proud munchies since you, 4-corner orange dabs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. I appreciate it. All right, our last presenter of this morning is for Pivot Parking. Tina, who's going to start over?
I'm going to start.
All right, perfect. Thank you. If you don't mind introducing your team and just kick it off.
Sounds great. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I'm Scott Diggs. I am the CEO of Pivot Parking, and we are delighted to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity. I will introduce our team as we go along. And I was told as we walked in, you got to throw it back a little bit. Hey, what am I doing wrong? I just pushed that button. Okay, female touch. So thank you very much again. I wanted to begin with just sharing a little bit about our experience. So our team comes today. We have a tremendous amount of experience. We've been in the parking business for a really, really long time, is what this slide says, and we're proud of that. We have a tremendous amount of municipal, beach, and coastal parking experience, and we want to hit that right out of the gate with this slide. So we have 42 locations within our company. 34 of those are actually located in the state of South Carolina. So we currently manage North Myrtle Beach, Surfside Beach, Surf City, Wrightsville Beach, Carolina Beach, the city of Wilmington, North Carolina, Greenville County, South Carolina, and then all the Morrison Yards locations here in Charleston. So collectively, we have about 200 years of experience within our team. I've been doing this for 30 years. Todd, who I'm getting reintroduced, has been doing this a long time, 30 years. Tina, 20 years. And then we've got Jared Glass, who's been with us for, and in this area for 7 years. He used to run Folly Beach with a former company that all of us were associated with. So that's where we are, and we all are local people. I live in Wilmington, North Carolina. Tina lives in Greenville. Jared lives in Charleston, and then Todd lives in Atlanta. So we're very close. We're here. We're going to be very involved in your operation, and we're super excited. We're the only finalist that's presenting today that actually comes with this amount of experience, especially in the coastal community component of the business. So our company was founded based upon being people of integrity. We try to be great customer service-oriented people. We try to be people of integrity at all times. And we're very selective about the clients that we want to choose. We're not trying to be everything for everybody. We're being highly selective about who we choose, and we think that the fit with Isle of Palms and us is a phenomenal fit, and we're super excited to be considered, and we thank you for that opportunity. So I'm going to turn it over to our president, Todd Brocious, who, like I said, has been doing this for a long time. Very close friend of mine and a great business associate.
Appreciate it. Nice to meet you guys, and I apologize for not being here the first presentation. I think Scott and Tina shared with you. I was actually on a trip with my wife celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary, and I'm pretty sure if I wanted to stay married, I needed to go on that trip and not attend this, so successful. This is our executive team. Scott touched on that a little bit. He and I have 30-plus years of parking experience together. Tina, 17-plus years, and she's, a co-founder of our company and really is what makes the wheels run here with Pivot. And Brandon Lauterbach, he's not here today, but he's a co-founder. He's based in Virginia. We lean on him a lot, especially when we're transitioning new locations. And this is our senior operations team. These are all faces that are located in South Carolina and North Carolina. Again, a very seasoned team. I don't want to say the most important of which, but the one that's here today is Jared Glass, who some of you know. He was here last time. Just an outstanding manager for us, and is who really will take the lead and spearhead, transitioning and overseeing this particular property, should we be afforded the opportunity to manage it for you guys. Going back to what Scott said a minute ago, we are a local company, more so than in anybody else who has submitted proposals. These are a sampling of our locations in South Carolina. You know, what I like about this is it's a diverse mix. It's a diverse portfolio. It's a combination of municipal, of office, of mixed use with retail. There's hotel valet. It's really a good multitude of locations. Again, these are, you know, just a sampling of the ones we've got in South Carolina and again in North Carolina. Again, a lot of municipal experience. To Scott's point, we have a ton of not only municipal experience but coastal municipal experience, which I think is a big, you know, deal and something to factor in when we're you know, looking at this. And from a technology standpoint, I'm going to turn it over to Tina to get into nuts and bolts.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. We were asked to provide, what is our technology offering if we were to come in and provide parking management to your environment. Again, right now, we commend you, again, as we did before, about the process that you are already engaged in and what you've done. You've done really well, but it could be expanded a little more. So you currently do a pay-by-text environment where it's through Flowbird, the same company that does your pay stations. We utilize a different vendor, which is called Text to Park. Just a different platform, same methodology where you text a code to a specific number. To date, with us, with Text to Park in all of our environments, we've done just shy of 1 million transactions for this year for 2023. So we've had a huge adoption of locations. We have several of our locations, our Surfside Beach, South Carolina, and Surf City, North Carolina, are 100% equipmentless, meaning the customer has no equipment. They don't go to a pay station. It is completely 100% text to park. And that has been a great for an environment where they didn't want to have to put up capital money for equipment and don't want to have to deal with equipment malfunctions and things of that nature. Excuse me. So we'll talk more about that. Pay by app, you also have that secondary feature. We have several locations that do that same thing. We have the Flowbird app in our Wrightsville Beach location. So it's a good thing to sometimes offer both the text to park and an app. Cell phone connectivity is somewhat of an issue in some environments, and it's due to congestion. When you have 1 million people at the beach trying to do, there's not a lot you can do about congestion. But we have seen that there's a lot more availability and connectivity, less connectivity issues with the text to park than having to download an app and wait for that spinning and wait for that process. So we can continue with Flowbird, or we can explore other options if you were to choose. And then payment at the kiosk. The kiosks, again, are aging, so at this point, is it worthwhile to engage in either updating them or removing them and going to an equipmentless environment? With the pay by text, we get a lot of data. So there's a lot of analytics that can be provided to you that allow you to understand your parking environment so that you can make the best decisions. For the pay by text, ease of use, simple for customers, secure. That person's using their own phone, and so that's secured in that way that they're using that. Connectivity is less of an issue. You get a reminder text when you've done your text that your session's about to expire, and you can extend. So you're out on the beach, and you can extend your session if you needed to. Able to communicate with a customer in real-time messaging. We have that cell phone number, and we're able to, if there's an emergency situation or something of that nature, we could send out messaging to all of those that had provided payments through the text. Find My Car. There's a part of the text to park that if you get lost, you get out on the beach and you forgot what beach access you went to, you can do the Find My Car, and it'll help you locate with geofencing where your car is. Data capture. This particular method it allows us to capture data that tells us the location via the designated P code and coordinates. So if we need to locate someone, we could zoom in where that person may be. License plate information, again, if the police department need to be on the lookout for a license plate, they're given access, and they can, through the LPR system that we would have, they would be able to locate a license plate if needed. Average length of stay analytics. So we've been able to determine, we just had to do a year-end season information for Surfside Beach, able to disseminate that through this information, the average length of stay in Surfside Beach is 2 hours and 19 minutes. For us to be able to determine how long is that variety of people that are staying. And then we also are able to pull visitors by zip code. This system will allow us to tell us the top 10, top 20, top 25 parkers by zip code. Where are your folks really coming from? What's that percentage? So we'll be able to give you a lot of information through that technology piece. Again, the same process. This is an example signage of what we have in North Myrtle Beach. We select codes that are specific to your location based on your area. Give it a code, and then it's simple. The first couple of times someone does it, it takes 2 or 3 steps because they have to put in their credit card information. But then after that, it's a 2-step process. You text the code, you get the confirmation, you put in how long you're going to pay, and you're done. So it's super simple. Enforcement platform and practices. We utilize an IPS platform practice. I think your current practice is with T2, and we've used T2, and we could continue if you so choose, but we have found success with the IPS platform. This is just an example of what we see in the back of house software platform. It allows us to heat map, lets us know where our folks are, where the transactions are. There's a multitude of reporting, lets us know how many citations. It's real-time data. So it allows us to be able to feed that information to you when necessary. Again, this is another example of a citation of when it is issued. On our side, we see all the pictures that are taken an enforcement officer has to take. It allows us to be able to see the issue date, what the officer was, what the payment was, all of that. We can drill down into that if and when necessary, and it allows for an online appeal process as well for the customers. This is the payment site. Someone's going in. It is a secure site. It allows you to be able to put in your license plate or put in your citation number and pull up those citations. This is also the site where you can go in and do an online appeal, and that appeal process is done internally through us to see if you did or did not make payment. Sometimes people put in a wrong license plate, those type of things. So there's some leniency that we would provide based on your ordinances and based on your guidance. We choose to be a partner. We're not someone that's going to come and say, this is how we do it. We're going to be a partner with you, and we're going to abide by what your rules and what your ordinances state. License plate recognition. We have offered and we have implemented license plate recognition enforcement in all of our coastal on-site facilities. North Myrtle Beach has 2 units, Surfside has 1 unit, Wrightsville Beach has 1, and so on. So we utilize this to allow for greater efficiency of enforcement. Scanning as you're driving through on the golf cart or the Polaris with this enforcement system attached to it, allowing it to scan those license plates, letting you understand it connects to the payment platforms, and then it sends you a message if there's not a payment being received that they can verify. And it's pretty cool that when you, the sound effects, I'm really good with the sound effects, that when you go through and you're driving, it's woo, 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 you know, little again, they pull over, it requires then the enforcement officer to get out. We do a double verification at that point. Let's make sure that that person, that something didn't work. If there is no payment in that system, then they're issued a citation that is physically applied to the front of the windshield with either in an orange or yellow envelope. We can also do virtual permitting capabilities through the online portal if so necessary, but we can also do a hybrid. We do that right now in Wrightsville Beach, where the residents use hang tags, and then we also do a hurricane reentry decal. In Surf City, we do a hurricane decal for residents, but residents are also virtually registered through their license plate for day-to-day and parking, but for hurricane reentry, they get a physical decal. So we can do a hybrid model of what works best for your community. Again, the data collection that is provided to this is great, and again, it allows for the police department, if they are looking for a vehicle, they can input that information into the system. If they get a hit on that, we never know that. That information goes directly to the police department so that they know that where that vehicle is. As part of our financial offering, we're also offering to provide to the city a 1 unit of the LPR at no cost. That'll be included within our financial offering. So last time we were here, we got asked kind of what is the process of LPR. Super simple, drive down the road, it's scanning, plates continuous. There's cameras on both sides of the vehicle or the golf cart. Scanning that plate, it automatically checks into the payment system, gets notification if there's a hit, and then that officer gets out and writes that citation. So in theory, a 2 to 3 minute situation versus 5 to 10 minutes to get out, type in the plate, go through that whole process. So it does streamline the process. The LPR online platform, this is what we would see at the back end of the software for the LPR, that when we go in, it's showing us all the different vehicles that it is scanning. So it is not just a situation where it's just going to capture the picture of the one that was in violation. It's capturing pictures of all the cars that we were there. It's giving us historical information, what was the make, what was the model, what was the color, what time were they there. So there is an occupancy part of this that can be explored even further. There's also a now mobile unit LPR that can be used in addition to the fixed to the vehicle. Sometimes the cons of a mobile unit is it requires a person to turn the camera on. They have to physically walk and scan along the cars, so that does not work for the efficiency part of it. But it is a secondary offering if necessary. Again, I'm skipping. Fixed camera
Tina, can I ask you a
enforcement.
quick question?
Oh, sure.
When you said the LPR was included, are you talking about the unit or the vehicle or the units in the vehicle, or what are you
The
talking about?
hardware and the cameras, the LPR unit, not the vehicle.
Got it.
It would be attached to, I believe that the city was providing a Polaris or something of that nature, so it would be attached to that.
Okay, thank you.
And to be clear, we're not including that as an operating expense and billing that back each month. It is completely on us at no expense to the city.
Thank you.
Okay, and you've had experience mounting those on golf carts in other locations, because someone else told us that the batteries weren't strong enough in the electric vehicles.
On a golf cart, we have them on golf carts in every coastal location that we have, excluding one where we moved it to a vehicle just because the golf carts were out of date and the city provided a vehicle instead of a golf cart. So what we do is with that unit, it requires recharging about 6 hours in. So you do about 6 hours of it, it recharges fairly quickly, and then you can go back out. So there's that period of time that does need a little bit of a recharge of just what it's pulling. Most of your golf carts today are lithium batteries, so we have a much longer ability to be able to pull from than we used to.
Is that, are we using Polaris or golf carts or what?
We have two Polaris, two LSVs.
So those should be fine?
Those should be fine.
Okay, thank you.
We don't have any golf carts.
Other technology to offer, fixed camera enforcement. You may have heard some negatives, some positives to fixed camera enforcement. We as a company are looking for all ways that we can increase our efficiency. How can we bring technology to both our company and to our customers and to our clients? Fixed camera enforcement, again, installing cameras at both entrances and exits of parking lots primarily. So your two lots that you have here, this would be an ideal situation in order to provide this type of enforcement. That it creates where you're scanning a plate on the way in. That system, again, is checking the payment option. If there is not a payment, there's two options of how that customer may receive a citation. One being it could be a mailed citation that they receive in 3 to 4 days after the initial, once it's determined that they did not pay. It requires a DMV lookup for the plate, for the registered address, and then that letter is sent out. Very similar, again, to toll roads, the way that that is done. Or the other option would be that once the system notifies that someone has not made a payment, it sends notification to the staff that there's a vehicle, this is the license plate, this is where it's at, you need to go write them a ticket. So it's a little bit more direct enforcement than just riding around. We can go specifically to that if we were to choose. The cost associated to this, the cameras are free. And the program that we do with the company that provides these, there's no cost related to the cameras. There is a back-end fee for the sending out of letters and things like that that would be negotiated. Again, just the process of how that particular system works. Analytics. Again, what tells your story, what allows you to make decisions for your company, for your town and city, are the analytics. Tells us how many cars per session. We can get drilled down in so much data and so much information. It will probably make your head spin, but it gives you a lot of information to decide what works best for your environment. Again, you'll see here, number of transactions per state, per code. So it really, really drills down into that information. Again, it'll show us the number of transactions. So there's, if it's not on there and you want something, we can customize it to pull that information.
Is that your platform or somebody else's platform?
That is a third-party platform, but it is white labeled for us.
So would we have to come to you for the reports, or would we be having would that application be ours to use and access at any time we want?
We can give you direct access to your particular city. This allows for us, as Pivot, as a company, we have access to all of our locations within the stat boards, but we can centralize it to where we can give you a unique login so that you could access your own information.
Be careful, you get trapped in there after a while.
Yeah.
Not me.
And as your provider, we would always make sure that we are on top of what is next in technology and making sure that you have that understanding of where should we be leaning, where should we be directive to. And that being that the next thing, again, the last presentation, I had just come from the National Parking Conference. And this was a big one where we do in-car contactless payments are coming. So that you drive into a spot, your car already registers where you're at, geo-fenced, it pops up on your navigation screen, would you like to pay for parking? And you pay within your car. So you don't have to pull out your phone, you don't have to do any of that. It's within your vehicle. So there's still a lot of development coming with that. Genesis has done some of it. Hyundai just announced that they were doing some of that. So it's advancing, and that's the next step of the technology that's coming into the parking industry. Enforcement. We were asked to talk about what is our enforcement culture. So we call our enforcement officers ambassadors because their first job is to be an ambassador of your town and city first, making sure that they understand where businesses are located, what the ordinances are, and how to greet customers and how to make sure that they know how to pay to park. We would be happy if we never wrote a citation and everyone was compliant. That's not the world that we live in today, but that is the assumption that we like to try to take with our staff. We try to follow that, to educate that customer and advise them on how they can pay and what the rules are first, so then maybe to avoid a citation. We work with a lot of our councils and our town managers when it comes to the procedural enforcement. Again, we abide by your ordinances. We like to be a partner with you, and we want to be an extension of your town or city. So. And we don't get compliments very often when you're in the world of parking and writing citations, but we have. And so we're very proud of the compliments that we have gotten for over the last couple of years for our enforcement staff, showing that they really do try to put that customer first and make sure that they align with the goals of the city, and making sure that those that are coming to your area understand, and that we try to provide service with a smile, so that we're providing the best service possible. And as part of enforcement, it's always making sure that our enforcement team's always going to refer back to signage. The signage needs to be cohesive. It needs to be consistent. How do I pay to park? What are the hours? Where am I at from a safety standpoint? So if I had to call for an emergency, I know which location I'm at. So we think that it's important that as part of your consideration of increasing and implementing new things for your parking environment, that you look at potentially increasing or changing your signage. And now I'm going to turn it over to Scott and Ty.
Tina, before you go, can I ask you one question?
Sure.
It was a little bit back. You were talking about, I think, leaving the parking lot with the LPRs, and if somebody were given, I don't know, a citation or ticket or whatever, you're saying the cameras are free and all that, but then there's something that happens and then there's a fee negotiated. Is that like the issuing and the collection of the citation, and what does that normally look like?
So in the world of that particular environment, it can be a split of that revenue, or it can be a fixed fee model. We try to work what works best for the environment that we're in. The company that we use as a third party that provides those cameras has several different models that we would explore.
Okay, so just to understand, that's not included right now in your proposal.
It is not included in a revenue share of any of those funds, and our fee also did not include citation revenue as an option for us to share in.
Or managing the citation.
Or anything like that, yeah.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Yep. As we opened, I thought we talked about customer service. That slide that you saw about our ambassadors, we are most proud of those slides because one of the things we have to do in this business is write citations. It's part of the business that we have to do. But we're super proud that our ambassadors give out more flyers, more handouts, more communication pieces to people that just look lost in communities, because that's what it's all about. We're here to deliver a product. Our experience, when people come to Isle of Palms, the first and last experience they have is usually parking. And so if that's a good experience, it makes people want to return to your island and your community, and that's super important for us, and we do not take that for granted. So that's very important for us, and we're very, very proud of that, that we get compliments from the citation team. So we've learned through the years that our clients like a couple of different business structures, typically when they're considering how to structure the financial deal. So we propose two of them. One of them is a base management fee plus an incentive. So the base fee means we get paid $810 a month to run the program, and then we participate with you, and we get 6.25% of net income, excluding any violation revenue. In this situation, we don't think it makes sense for us to add the violation revenue. We don't want it to be perceived as if we're benefiting when we write a ticket, so we think that's very important. And one of the, as Tina mentioned earlier, we are providing one LPR unit that'll be affixed to one of your vehicles as part of our package and our proposal. That is, as Todd mentioned, is actually a part of our proposal. And then the second way to do it is we actually pay you a guarantee amount where we would actually pay you $830,000 as a flat fee, and then you retain 100% of all the violation revenue. So we continue running the program as we've shared during our presentation, but you participate and keep 100% of the violation revenue. And then after that, we will share in a 50% split of gross revenue in excess of $1.55 million. That number of the threshold was chosen on purpose because that's about what your gross revenue is projected to be from the RFP. And so that's how we've structured that proposal. And still in this one, in the bottom there, we will obviously continue to provide that one LPR unit as part of our package. Any questions that we can provide or answer for you now on any of the presentation that we have had so far?
Yeah, just a question. Customer service, say somebody's having a problem and they need to call 1-800 or whatever. How does all that work? What are your hours of operation? How's the resolution, et cetera?
So our customer service and our staffing model, we put a CSR person, office person, to be the one that would take those calls. It would be an on-site person. You're not calling a 1-800 number and talking to someone that's in California or somewhere. It's someone here local. And so the office hours would be deemed as what is necessary for the environment, whether they be 8 to 5, 7 to 4, whatever. But the manager is always on call as well, 24/7. But that customer service piece is someone local would answer that phone. And as far as resolution, if it's about a citation, again, explaining the process of, let me look up the citation, let me find out why you received a citation. You know, if it is simple as I typed in a 0 and it's supposed to be an O on the license plate, things of that nature, then we assist them in going through that appeal process and doing an appeal so that we have a trail. We're not just going to say, oh, we'll get rid of that citation. We are going to do an official appeal and then render that decision. They'll receive that decision via email so that they know that that citation was taken care of and that resolution was made.
So if your staff levels, excuse me, are peak, you have a pretty good staff level during the day, during on-season, off-season, I think we're talking about pretty light coverage.
Yeah, very much.
When somebody's having an issue outside of those coverage hours, I think what you're saying is then we got to call somebody, the manager, or?
We would do a
They're on call.
rollover.
They're on call.
Yeah, we also do a rollover as a company as a whole. We have a rollover number where your local telephone number after hours would then roll over to our 1-800 number, and that someone would answer that phone call and assist that customer.
And that's for technical difficulties.
For anything outside,
They got a boot on there.
anything outside of that, and then again, if it can't be handled at that point in time, then we would take name, number, make sure someone contacted them within 24 hours.
What are your other customers doing as far as option 1 or 2? What's the most popular pick?
Option 1, you know about financial model, is primarily most, I would say, 80% of our operations are on a management fee type arrangement with an incentive fee.
And it's usually a mixture between a base and percentage fee. We've proposed option 1. There's really not a lot of guarantees out there that are being done, but we wanted to give the option in case it's something interesting.
And you make more money on option one because we're taking less risks. There's more risk obviously to us at option two, but sometimes from a budgeting perspective, some municipalities like knowing what their number is. So we've seen it work both ways, but it's ordinarily heavily weighted toward the option one, more of a management fee plus an incentive, because you want an incentive as well. You want us to be a business partner of yours, so that structure is usually the one that's selected.
You have a lot of experience with beach communities, resort areas. How have you found that has affected you in any way in regards to staffing and being competitive with pay? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well,
Yeah.
compensation has been huge lately, especially post-COVID. I mean, we're paying our people, and in our model, we have in this particular pro forma for you, a highly compensated hourly range for our employees, because what we have found is that we want to hire customer service ambassadors. We don't want to hire lower paid folks. We like to pay people very, very well for a job well done, and we find that if we do that, that it is a very good business decision for us to do that. So sometimes we're paying as much as $18, $19, $20 an hour to some of our ambassadors. We tend to find a lot of retired gentlemen usually that typically like to work the beach environments. A lot of times retired police officers, retired military, and they just want something to do during the daytime hours to get out of the house and go out, and they provide phenomenal service. I mean, we have a lot of those that are working for us. Sometimes it's ladies, sometimes it's gentlemen, but that tends to be more of our working force in our beach communities.
It would be a little different demographic here, I think, in regards to us being a barrier island, versus a Myrtle Beach where you have a lot of retirees who live on and around the golf courses and that sort of thing, and many of them have retired from up north.
That's right.
And they want to supplement their income by
Correct.
doing something like this, rather than maybe being on a golf course.
That's right.
As a ranger or something.
But they can get off at 2, so they
yeah.
can still make tea time.
Right,
But,
okay.
I live in Wrightsville Beach,
Yeah.
Wilmington area, so I know I've been running that program, or this team has been running that program now for 17 years. So I equate Isle of Palms is, in my mind, very similar to Wrightsville Beach. And that's
My
similar to
point is I don't know that you'd have many retirees on this island that would sign up for that, But, I mean, you could have some that wanted to do that. You'd probably be attracting people from off the island. over
Very
on the
much so.
mainland.
Yeah, most of ours are off the island as well,
Yeah,
for sure.
thank you.
Yeah.
I have a couple. One thing that you didn't cover this time that you did before was the personnel staffing. This kind of business is, I would say, low-wage kind of personnel that needs some supervision to make sure that they're out there doing the job. I did a little bit of that when I was young, supervising, and if you didn't watch them, they would clock in and then go sit in the coffee shop for 3 hours until they had to clock out, So what I'm curious about is who you have that's going to run the office here and what the experience is and what the tiers are above that.
So Jared is here locally, but as far as the management staff of what we would employ here, that manager, we have a couple of internal candidates. We have one that, his name is Noah, and he has been a part of our operation for the last 3 years in a coastal environment. I won't name that specific location, but he has been a part in doing coastal management for the last 3 to 4 years. So he is interested in expanding he's been an assistant manager for the last couple of years and wanting to grow with the company. So he definitely threw his name into the hat for this opportunity. But we would have that manager is responsible, again, they're on call 24/7, but they work typically Monday through Friday in the off-season. In the in-season, it is also the assistant manager / lead supervisor enforcement officer that we do, is that they have to rotate weekends so that you don't have the same manager working every weekend. They're rotating weekends. And that lead supervisor enforcement officer, his responsibility is not office responsibility, it is out on the beat, checking all of the folks, making sure that he's looking at that heat-seeking map of where they are and checking behind them. We can also check, how many citations are being written within a time period. We do a lot of statistical information showing if this officer's writing a lot and this one's not, then where do we need to talk with that enforcement officer? Is it just because they work part-time and they're only working 2 afternoons a week, or is it something more? So we try to make sure that we stay on top of that, making sure that they are doing the job that they were hired to do.
So you're saying we're going to locate 2 personnel in the Charleston area to work for us?
Yes, two to three we would locate in the Charleston area.
And then we'll have what we call the beach service officers before, but the parking management
Yes.
personnel going around
Yes.
doing the
Yes.
foot, okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay. The other question I had has to do with the citations and payment. I understand how you're monitoring who has a parking violation and not. You said you're going to do a paper ticket that you will put on the vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's when we stop being automated and we start being just functional, personnel dependent is what I call that. So then, payment, some of the options that we've seen today have the ability for the person to just pay on site, right there while they're standing there.
The ticket that they receive has a QR code on it, and you can scan that QR code, takes you immediately to the payment platform.
Okay.
Put in your information, you're done before you even got back in your car and got on the road.
Okay, is there any way that you could, if all of this stuff is already entered into a computer, that they can get a text or anything for that kind of payment, a notification of that, of the violation and how to pay it on without even having to scan a code?
The problem with that is we don't have that whoever got the citation, and say they didn't, the environment is they didn't make a payment and they were a
Right.
non-payment. So
Right.
all we have is the citation and the license plate that we wrote that citation against. We have no other information at that point. We don't have a cell phone number to make a text message to or anything because they're not in the system as
So-
it relates to because they did
Okay.
not make a payment.
So they would have to text to park
They
for
would
that kind
have,
of
they would
process?
have to text a park in order for us to receive that cell phone information for us to know who that parker
Okay.
was.
And then the last question is for collections.
Mm-hmm.
Will your group have a system for making collections of unpaid parking?
Yes. Yes, so we utilize our vendor that we utilize is IPS for the enforcement platform. As part of that entire platform, we set it up based on your ordinances, based on the 30-day rule, that after 30 days, then they get the first collection letter. And then based on your ordinances, if a second collection letter is required. And then after that, if your ordinances allow for a collection company for that situation for them to be collected, then we go to that process.
Okay, then
So it's
we're-
based on your ordinances, but we do the full cycle.
Okay.
We do that at
And then-
all of our municipal locations.
And then that cycles back to your personnel that are stationed here. What are those 2 to 3 people that you have stationed here full-time doing during the off-season?
The off-season, the only 2 people we have is the full-time manager and the office person.
And what are they
Everyone else-
doing?
They are answering phone calls, doing reporting. I think there is still some off-season type of enforcement for residential. So the manager would be responsible for doing that, and then the office person would be responsible for taking payments over the phone if someone calls, helping someone do the assistance with appeals, anything of an administrative nature.
Okay.
Okay, I got a little confused here.
Thank you.
So I think you just described the paper ticket and the tickets being issued, but then we go into the collection enforcement, and beyond that, aren't we back into that third party that we got to negotiate a fee with? Is that?
No, that's
Or
how
does
we.
does this go to our collection, or what process does it go to once it comes out of past the
It
ticket?
stays within our environment. The way that we did our model for the budget that we did for the proposal, the fees associated to the enforcement platform, there are no fees to you. That is passed on to the customer. So the customer that is paying a citation pays an additional fee that pays for the enforcement platform and the credit card convenience fees. All of that is passed on to the customer.
So where does the citation that we have to negotiate the fee go? How's that different? Is that in the parking lot on the LPR?
That is on a fixed camera enforcement. That is in a different system.
So we got 2 branches of enforcement, is what you're
Yes.
telling me. So we got citations that are going to be issued by our beach service officers or your staff, and then anything out of the parking lot's going to go into another track.
For only those on a fixed camera enforcement, that citations were mailed originally.
I get it, okay.
When you first get a fixed camera enforcement, that person is not getting a a citation on the window unless we do the system where it notifies us and then we go out and write the citation. If we don't do that process, then, and they just do mailed citations like you do with the toll road, then that's where that split
If
up
somebody
would
goes in the
be.
parking lot, they don't pay, they leave, and
That's right.
And
then
you
they're
get a
gonna,
letter in the
then
mail
we're into
3
that
days
other
later
third
that-
party.
Exactly.
That's exactly
Got it.
right. And there's lookup fees to look up the license plate.
Sure.
Through various DMVs, which is why we would need to come to an agreement with them on how that would work.
Got it.
So that's really just if we implemented the fixed camera LPR enforcement.
Okay, and then last question for me is notifications. What if, I think one of our big challenges is people come over, they don't know where to park. Can't identify where the parking spots are. Are you offering any services or anything that helps us identify spots in a lot, spots on a street, up on Boulevard, down the avenues? Anything that gives any kind of indication of where the vacancy might be so they can help manage that?
Yeah, we can and we do in certain, settings.
But that's not part of this offer?
It's, we talked about, a sign package and doing what we need to do to both educate people on the program, but also make sure people are, able to find spaces. So, we'll come to you and if we recommend certain, additional signs that aren't specifically on the lot or on the street to get them to where they need to go. What we've kind of found though is in a lot of these coastal communities, there are so many people that need, to find parking. They get there and they find it. It's more a case of not having enough spaces than just getting people to the spaces.
Yep.
But, we'll lean on our experience, that we've got in all these other coastal communities and Carolina communities. And, we'll recommend what we believe is best to get people. I don't want to put a bunch of signs out there, just put signs out there because you tend to confuse people.
Sure.
But we'll recommend whatever we deem, is appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all for coming back. Appreciate your time.
Of course, thank
Yeah.
you. It's a pleasure meeting you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So there being no further business,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor?